Oh, there we go. Hey, Cecilia, long time no see. How you making out? I'm doing okay. Busy as usual. Having problems with the neighbors. How are you doing? Yeah, I saw something about that on Facebook. I don't understand why they give you so much trouble about that up there. It seems like that's been going on for a couple of years now. I'm sorry that's happening. Jeez, what a nuisance. You know what they tell us down here? Well, Verizon's supposed to be so great and it's the best internet to have, but sometimes it sure doesn't seem like that. Oh, what's wrong with the neighbors? Are you talking? No, the bears. I'd rather deal with them because because at least they'll walk away. For the last year, the same neighbors I've had for 24 years have turned into absolute nut jobs. Hang on a minute. I gotta close the door. It's loud out there. Sorry about that. Sounds like all hell is breaking loose out there. Yeah, I don't know what happened. They're getting older. They haven't been, at least one of them hasn't been in very good health. And it's really sad that after all these years, they used to be really mellow people. But you know what really changed everything with them? They had been going down to the beach, to the New Jersey shore for many, many years. And then last year, something happened and they stopped doing it. I mean, after 40 years, all of a sudden they just stopped doing it. Well, I guess it kept them focused and it kept them relaxed because being around here, they're not handling it very well. And I can understand that, but don't take it out on me. So I just got off the phone with my lawyer today to see where I stand. And, I can go to small claims court. I can start calling the cops every time something happens. But, what do? They keep you for like an hour and then they release them and then they can come back here and retaliate. So I'm looking into moving out, that's for sure, after all these years. Yeah, I try to save money and went with a third party that uses a big company's lines. Yeah, sometimes that happens. That's the reason why I finally went to Verizon because let's see, I had Sprint, and Sprint was really good for a long time. I had never had Verizon on a cell phone. I had it on the wall. If you look up here, that's my old copper line, which still works. They try to say that it doesn't, but it still does. But they cut it off because they were trying to get everybody to go with BIOS. And so I had Sprint for cell phones for years. It was great. And then they teamed up with T-Mobile, and I'm telling you, T-Mobile should just throw in the towel because they've never been good with cell phone service. It's like I don't know, I guess there's a hierarchy on the cell phone towers, and they just they don't have a good spot. And then Sprint went all to hell, so I switched to Verizon. I was on the phone with that a couple days. Oh, that's cute. It's nice to know that, you know, but what's the saying? One hand washing the other, or whatever. One hand doesn't know what the other is doing. I swear there is no customer service anymore, and nobody talks to each other in the office. Well, everybody works remotely. I got to wonder if that company works remotely, but they still have to have a warehouse where all this is coming out of. So there must be shipping orders that go in there, and somebody has to read them. Oh yeah, Rogers and Bell, huh? They want way too much. Oh, I know it's ridiculous between the computer and the phone, and I get a student discount, which is something I've never used before. But because of 2020, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take advantage of whatever I can right now. Not in a bad way, just a little bit. And so I get like a 10% discount, and it's $124, and then it started creeping up to like 140, and then there was some kind of package deal that they had, and they wanted me to sign up for that, and it would be less, and it actually was. So it went down to like 124. I think all this stuff should be under $100. I don't think it should be any more than 30 bucks. I still live in the 1980s and the 1990s. These prices are crazy. You know what's funny? When you go on the computer, you work on your hair a little bit so that it looks nice and neat, and then you get on the computer and it's like, what the heck happened there? What is that? Corn? Camwave is a good one. Contract for 3 years and it does not increase every few months. Yeah, that's the worst when they do that. They used to have to give you a warning of an increase, and there was a certain amount of time, at least a year, kind of like almost like a standard of living sort of raise, because things go up. But yeah, every few months. That's the reason why I get rid of cable. I haven't had TV in a long time. I just watched movies on the computer because it was just getting crazy. You know, you start off with this traditional package for like $15, and this was going back a ways. This going back over the last 20 years, and then before you knew it, they were like decreasing the traditional package, and then they were every time you got the bill, it was like another $6 more or another $10 more. With the other two, 6 months it goes up. That, I, you know, it's such a scam, and there's no business ethic anymore. Everybody just, you know, it's all about the money. They just take, take, take. I'm not sure if you know it, Cecilia, but Al Collins of Al's Outdoors, he and his wife are going through a tough time right now. That's why I have the banner running at the bottom. I want to get people, try to steer people over there and let him get some more watch hours. He's got tons of subscribers, but it doesn't hurt to have some more watch hours, that's for sure, so he can make a little something. But his wife and he are definitely being tested right now, and so hopefully things are going to work out all right. I keep praying and hoping for the very best. I have 3 services: home, phone, cable, and internet. And do they bill you as a package for that? Yeah, and I think that's, I don't want to get into too much detail here because I know, you know, mostly friends will be on here if anybody has time to do it. But oh, he did do a lot. I haven't seen JB. Did he do it on Rumble or did he do it on YouTube? Because man, I am so out of the loop. It's pathetic. JB Outdoors, there you are. Wow, he's still here. Usually I end up getting there's 2 JV Outdoors. Usually I end up getting unsubscribed from people. I think it just happened recently. Like Backwoods Barbarian, Coffee Time, 5 months. Yes, I get billed. Oh, good. Okay, I'd hate to see it all. YouTube. Oh, you got the notice? When did it happen, Cecilia? When did JV do the live? Because you're saying it in past tense, and I'm looking on his page. Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Look under lives. Shoot, I missed it. Oh, it was 8 months ago. What? Where the hell have I been? You know what? I probably did see it.
Please
Oops, sorry. Yeah, and Backwoods Barbarian has his he had a GoFundMe page, and you got the notice a couple days ago. Really? Because the one that's not, this must be an older one. There's one here from 8 months ago. Got the notice a couple days ago on my FB feed. I'm gonna have to double check. Sometimes I don't even go on Facebook anymore. Just no time to do it. Something's got to give. I tell you what, the medical community sure doesn't. I've complained about it before, but it really does not make it easy for anyone. Oh, hey Heath, how you doing? It's just, oh, there's 6 people watching, but there's only 3 of us. But that's okay. How's it going down your way, Heath? Are you drought, or are you getting rain? We're finally getting rain. It's been dry for like a month and a half. A little bit of rain, but not enough. Surprised we didn't have more forest fires. Heath, your wife is so pretty. I saw something that you put up on, I believe it was Facebook. Must be something in their plans to help them out. 2 million. It's just crazy. It really is. You know, see that just goes to show you. You're welcome, Heath. That just goes to show you, you know, it's just it's such a money making game, and it's just, I'm not saying that they're doing this, with them, but it sure seems that they sure can back you into a corner and use enough fear to get as much money out of you as they possibly can. And insurance just makes things much harder, to keep economical because they can just dip into it at any time. Hi, Joy. How are you doing today? Yeah, we finally got some. In fact, send some more because I don't mind mowing the grass, but when I mow it and there's like a dust storm that lingers for like 3 hours after I'm done. But I'm a driveway mower. I'll get out into the middle of the driveway. In fact, the guy who used to work on my mowers, he would look underneath it and he's like, "What are you doing, mowing on a beach?" Because the whole bottom was cleaned out from all the dirt particles and little tiny rocks and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, I am really surprised that we have not seen any forest fires. But Cecilia, of course, it's not in favor in the news, so they're not really talking about Canada, but how are things going up there with fires? Yes, it does. There's something else that does too. Mistletoe can help with it also. Yeah, it's tough. I've been holding back because I don't know if everybody knows it, but I've become a nutritional therapy practitioner over the last few years, and yeah, it's still an issue. Yeah, and in the news down here, it's like, oh well, let's go on to the next thing. I mean, this is some serious crap that's going on out there. And then that smoke it came through here, and then they said, yeah, it'll be gone in like a day or so, and right on schedule, it was gone in like a day or so. It was just kind of weird. But yeah, back to what you're saying about the mullein. And like I was saying, the mistletoe can help too. Also, eating beef lung will help too because our ancestors used to eat the organ to help the organ. But everything I learned a lot before, but when I went to school and had a formal education as a nutritional therapist, it's phenomenal what you can do to help strengthen the body. But I've been holding back from saying that because when you're in, when you're dealing with the medical police state, it, you, you got to be on your toes so sharply. Um, I know there's a lot that he can do. I'm not trying to hold back any important information, but they keep your attention so focused on them, and you want to do the right thing. So it's just kind of, it's tough to say, well, you can try this and you can try that because they're so busy working on, what's going on in the medical arena right now. It feels like you're almost throwing too much at them because they've already got enough on their shoulders. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. It's just amazing what the body can do. Christ, I healed my own gallbladder and they told me it was impossible. So I don't believe anything they say. Yeah, it's been raining, so that has helped. Yeah. Cecilia, I got a question for you. I saw some pictures and I can't say where it was. It might have been on maybe it was YouTube short, maybe it was Instagram or something, but I remember seeing helicopters. They said it was in Canada. You couldn't really tell. It just says it was in Canada. And the helicopters were carrying buckets that were like dumping some kind of fire accelerant onto the forest. I mean, who knows? It could have been Photoshop. There's so much Photoshopping going out there. I have a friend that has lung issues. She only has 30% and told her about mullein, but she only wants to do but yeah, and I've had quite a few clients where it's like a tug of war, and they come to me because they feel that I'm their last hope, and they don't know what else to do because they're not happy with what doctors are doing, but they are so stuck on appealing to authority and doing what they're told that they're afraid to take that leap of faith and try something completely out of the box. Don't really mean to use a phrase like that. It's the only one that came to mind. But it really does take a leap of faith to, you don't have to you don't have to completely walk away from the doctors. If you want to keep going to the doctor, I can't tell anybody not to. But I mean, mullein is not going to hurt anybody, and neither is mistletoe, as long as it's taken correctly. Oh, you haven't seen that? If I find it, I'll put it on Facebook. It seemed to be popping up quite a bit earlier in the week and over the last weekend. If I see it, I'll put it on Facebook and tag you and see what you think of it. But I thought it was a big fake. And then I went to get my oil changed, and the guy who works on my car, it's one of those drive-through Valvoline places, and it's actually pretty cool. But they had the fellow was saying, well, yeah, you know, the fires in Canada, they were making those fires. And it's like, why? Because you saw that same picture that I saw? I mean, it could have been a fake. You just don't know. So it looks like it's just me and you. This is one of the reasons why I haven't done a live in a long time, because I kind of stopped making videos for a while, and I kind of fell out of the algorithm completely. So even when I advertised for it, and I advertised for this one, I think it was last night. I got to bed late, so it's been up for a long, long time. And I've seen them with plants and such, but they were dumping water only. Yeah, that's what I would think. I mean, it's not like these guys don't know what they're doing. Now, they know how to fight a fire. If anybody does, it's them, because the forests are so vast up there. Oh, Cecilia, I got a question for you. Do you remember, let's see if I can bring him up, Jeremy Evans? You remember hearing about that in 2017? He survived a grizzly bear attack while he was out early in the morning riding his bike 7 miles from his truck into the Canadian wilderness to hunt sheep. Pretty fascinating story. Of course, you know, our phones listen to us. So while I'm talking about, you know, the bears and the coyotes out there, I guess the phone picked it up. I didn't even type anything in, and the Jeremy Evans story came up. Boy, he went through a heck of a time. That poor guy. It's just amazing. I tell you, you know, that talk about luck, because that sow grizzly could have very easily have popped his skull. Yeah, Jeremy Evans survived 3 rounds of a grizzly bear attack. She ripped his face off completely, but he still survived. One of his eyes was hanging out of his head, and he was about 7 miles into the wilderness. And if you look up Jeremy Evans on YouTube, you can listen to, I think it's an hour-and-a-half interview. It's pretty fascinating how he explains and how he remembers exactly how he did everything. And then the whole situation when he got back to civilization, there was a camp out there somewhere, and he had to wait for a helicopter to come in, and it was a private helicopter that had to come and pick him up. And it was really, he said it was a really fancy helicopter. He remembers that. Yeah, he was an avid hunter, and he never had a bear problem before. I thought that was kind of interesting how that popped up while I'm starting to have a bear problem. Survivor of, Alberta. Jeremy Evans lived in Alberta, Canada. Survivor of a grizzly bear attack. And a book came out about him. Yeah, he was in the Alberta Rockies west of Calgary. And it was just, I think he said it was just about daylight, and he saw a grizzly bear cub run in front of him. And he thought, great, I'm dead. And then from behind him, he could hear a branch snap right behind his head. And when he turned around, there was Mama. So he had bear spray in his backpack, but he didn't think to take it out. Instead, he had ridden his bike in to hunt these sheep. So he took his bike and he threw it at the bear, and the inside of the bike got stuck on the bear's neck like a necklace. And she thrashed about and threw it off, and then he just started beating her. This guy used to go into the forest, into the wild with giant backpacks because he was a very experienced hunter, and he just brought everything he needed. Plus, he needed the space to pack out whatever he hunted. And he just started beating her over the head as much as he could. And then the story goes on from there. I'm not going to relay the whole thing, but he ended up with a lot of facial reconstruction. And within 48 hours of leaving the hospital, he went back to go hunting. I think that's pretty darn cool. So. Yeah, I fought off a grizzly. Survivor Jeremy Evans is the co-author of the book Mold, Mauled, which details his experience of being viciously attacked. Yeah, she was just, it didn't seem like she wanted to eat him, but it did seem like she wanted him out of there. Yeah, that's when you need, yeah, that's just it. I mean, this guy was a hunter. He was out there hunting sheep, but his gun was with him while this bear was attacking him, but he never got a chance because they do move so fast. I mean, they are like lightning, but he never got a chance for some reason. So I'm suspecting he had a rifle because you have to hunt sheep. I think you have to hunt them at a certain distance, or they're just going to be at a distance. No, he wasn't. He wasn't ready for it. He said because he had gone into this area many, many times before, being aware that there were grizzly there, but he had never, ever seen one. But that doesn't mean that they didn't see him. And he knew that. But I mean, when this bear in the twilight just showed up behind him, the baby ran in front of him, 10 feet in front of him, then all of a sudden mom is right there. And, we've had that's what basically this live stream was all about. Talk about the need for more hunters. There have been bear in this area since the 1980s, on and off. But the last four hunters, I'm looking at your entry, and I got distracted. In the last 4 to 6 years, there have been so many more, and I have never seen as many as I have this season. I've only been out like 4 or 5 times on surveys, and it's unbelievable what's out there. But the way they move, it's almost otherworldly how fast they are and how incredibly strong they are. So you would have thought he would have been ready. Instead of thinking about that, the only thing I can think of is he was just plain lucky. Just plain lucky, because it would have been so easy for her to just, I mean, she kept biting him around the head and the shoulders. And she did crack it's amazing she didn't kill him by biting at the back of his neck, but she did crack his backbone, and he still made it out. He had a wife and a daughter, and I'm sure that kept him going. But the encounters that I've had, the one that really intrigues me, the one bear, is at a county park that abuts the state park, which is 43,000 acres. And when I saw him, what was that, 2 weeks ago? I was on the gas pipeline where my project was, and I was I put my backpack down. I was getting ready to get my equipment out to start my work, and I hear a dead branch or piece of a trunk get knocked over up in the woods. And I've heard that before, and I know what that is. That's the telltale sign that a bear is coming through. It's not the wind knocking over a widowmaker. It's a bear looking for food. And it sounded like it was far enough off, and I thought, okay, well, maybe he'll go either one direction or the other and not straight towards me. So I'm slowly getting my things together, and I'm watching up over the hill. I'm watching, and sure enough, probably might have been 200 yards. Thank God my eyesight is still good at distance. 200 yards away, I see him coming, and he's big, and he's swinging his front legs out in front of him, and he's all sassy, and I could see his shoulder blades going up over the top of his head, and he must be old because his fur had a lot of gray in it, and his bottom lip was hanging like you see a grizzly's hanging, and this was a black bear. So I see him, and he doesn't see me yet, so I just quickly pack everything up, and I walk back down the trail. And I said, nope, I'm not dealing with this. This guy is as big as a house. And I get down the trail a little ways, and there's a couple coming up. So I warn them, and I get the same thing that I always get. And basically, people giggle, and they're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to see it." And it's like, this isn't Disney's The Jungle Book. Yeah, it's a black bear, and everybody has given them the wrong reputation that they are gentle and docile. A rattlesnake is docile. As long as you give them enough space, they don't care that you're there. But a bear can come at you for any different reason. And one thing I've learned about black bear is that they have an awful lot to lose. And they are not the apex predator. So a black bear tends to be a little more skittish. Even a mountain lion can give a young black bear a run for his money, or even kill him and eat him. That I didn't realize, because right now there are no grizzly around here, but there are plenty of black bear, and they will prey upon each other. So, it's just not a game, and I've never seen it that way. So these people who I passed on the trail, they just kept going in the direction where the bear was. I mean, yeah, maybe the bear came down onto the gas pipeline. He used it to get down the water or something because it's been dry here. But if somebody told me that on the trail, I'd turn around and go right back. It just isn't worth it. What about the bear that was at your door? Yeah, that was actually that. Thank God he didn't come right to the door, but my kitchen window, I don't know if you can see it. My kitchen window was right there. And early in the morning, I'm sitting here, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the black head and the black back go right past the window. And I'm one of those people who leads out the suet and the bird seed. But like I said in the video, there hasn't been a bear here. I would have known because, I mean, come on, suet. If we had bears around here, there wouldn't be any putting suet out because the bears would be around all the time. And he was young. He had a little blonde spot on his right rump, and definitely a teenager. And he went right over for the suet and just pulled it right down and walked into the woods behind my car. So I got the film of it, and then I threw the phone down, and I just exploded out of the door yelling at him. I picked up some rocks. I have a rock collection because I'm also a rock hound. I picked up some rocks, and I'm whanging them at him, and I hit him broadside. And then he went to turn, like, I mean, he just kind of like glanced at me over his shoulder, like he didn't care. When I exploded out the door, I expected him to jump and run, because everybody says, black bear are so scared of humans. No, this guy was used to humans. There is no doubt about it. Humans do not faze this bear. So I hit him twice with the rocks, and he didn't even take the suet with him. He just dropped the cage out of his mouth, and he took off. And if you saw the video, he took off around the corner up past the neighbors and ran back up onto the old railroad right away that's up there. And I waited a couple of minutes, and I watched and I watched and I watched, because I wanted to get the the enticement out of there. The suet was still sitting there, so I got my garden gloves on, and I got a bottle of bleach. I didn't have any bear spray at the time, so I went out, and I was like a bolt of lightning. I just ran out, and I got the suet cage. I grabbed the the bird seed, and I sprayed everything down with bleach. And my head was on a swivel because he could have circled around. There's a lot of bushes just off the yard. He could have been in there. And I'm looking over my shoulder, and I run back into the house, and I lock it, and then I went back out actually, and I sprayed bleach around the doorway and everything in case my garden gloves got some of the smell of the suet. I didn't want it on the door handle, so I just doused it. I didn't care if it did any damage to the paint or anything. I just doused it with bleach. And when I got in the house, I got a garbage bag, and I just dumped everything into it. I wasn't going to keep the suet. There wasn't any point because he slobbered all over it. And then I wrapped it up. And when I went out later, I threw it out in a public garbage can. And he hasn't been back since. People are nuts. They see too many videos and think they are. That's rather than, yeah, it's really, really sad. The couple that I saw last Saturday when I encountered the coyote that were actually hunting a fawn, but the mother, she was a tough doe. She was running right after them. She chased them up the mountainside. And when she came upon them, when I saw the coyote, they were coming towards me, and I pulled out my pocket knife, and I was getting ready because I didn't have anything on me except pepper spray and a knife. And all of a sudden, I mean, just like that, bam, she came from the right side, and she was just kicking at them. And they were like, whoa, 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 lady. And they ran single file up the mountain, and she was hot on their trail. So her baby must have been right in that area there off to the right. And she did a heck of a job getting rid of them. But so this couple, again, another couple coming up the trail, and I'm telling them that, there's coyote hunting a fawn up there, so keep an eye out. And I get the same giggle. That's all you ever get. You get this weird giggle, like, I'm going to see a wild animal. Like you say, like it's a movie, and it's like, it's like you might have been better off if you stayed home on your couch and watched Netflix. I haven't heard of anybody getting hurt yet, but I do know that the New York State, anybody who's working within the state parks, for any reason, of course, I do it for invasive species management. AmeriCorps has to do the same thing, and whoever else is contracted out by the state to do any kind of work, excavation, invasives, tree removal. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, after many, many years, everybody has to sign a waiver for injury. So either somebody got hurt really bad. I did meet one of the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. I think she's a trail leader. She does trail work. And I did meet her before I met those coyotes. She was actually at a kiosk for the people who get off the Whistle stop on Metro North on the other side of the river. And she was limping around. And I never met her before, but I said, hey, what happened? And she told me that they were working on the trail. And she went to take a step to leave, and she ended up tumbling down. And wow, that's something went terribly, terribly wrong. So she could hardly walk. So I don't know if it was because of her. I mean, there could be many reasons. I haven't exactly looked into it yet. I'll find out eventually. Either it was her, several incidents like her, somebody died, or like the New York State DEC has already said, it's a banner year for black bear sightings and all the phone calls. They said, I mean, the phone, they said, is literally ringing off the hook. There are people constantly calling in all day long, all night long. There are rescue places that take them until they can be put back. Those bears are not, no, nope. And people think that's like an endearing part of them. Last year, it's not. That's what makes them more dangerous. One swipe, and you're going to be either knocked down, you could hit your head, end up unconscious, or if you do end up still standing after getting swiped by a bear, you're going to be in so much pain, you're not going to be able to do much of anything at all. And you're going to be so, your blood pressure is going to go up. Your adrenaline is going to start surging, and you're probably going to go into diabetic shock because it's going to be something that you have never experienced in your life. You're not actually going to sit there and enjoy it. It's going to be a horror. And that's what people don't realize. It only takes one hit from a bear to almost totally disable you. And I'm not taking that chance. I would rather turn around and go back to the car and go work on some other project, because I got plenty of them around the Hudson Valley. There's no shortage of that. That's for certain. But yeah, so this teenage bear that was in my yard, what is that, going back 2 weeks now? People up the street, probably about a mile from me, are saying on Facebook in the community page that, yeah, this black bear's still around. And I said, well, did you take in your bird feeder? No, I don't think I should have to do that. All right, Cecilia, no problem. And they just don't feel that they have to do that. So, if you don't want the bear around, just don't put anything out. In fact, don't even put your garbage out until the morning of the pickup. Unless it's like a 3:30, 4:30 pickup. You just don't want to put anything out too soon, because then you're just going to end up attracting. I mean, even if when the skunks come out, sometimes if I put it out too early in the morning, like if it's not even light out, I'll go out at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, because I happen to be up and it's time to just, let's take care of that and get the garbage done. Spray it with some bleach, Clorox bleach cleanup. And I guess that works, but I haven't put the garbage out here since that bear came through, because from what I see on the Facebook community page, it looks like he's still trolling the area. And if these people on the other end of the street, of the road, decide to finally take in their bird feeders, then he may come back here, because he's used to this area. So he may come back here and check out my place, looking for something. And we don't want that to happen, because then they become a real nuisance. And again, like I said in one of my videos, it was the video that I put out on Monday. The men wouldn't have put up with this back in my day, back in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s, even the early 90s. They would have just shot the bear, and that would have been the end of that. Joy, are you still in here? Heath, are you still in here? Somebody else must be having a really exciting live stream. This has been happening the last couple times. In fact, I had one that I started with, I think back in February, and I just deleted it because nobody really came in. I'm just out of the algorithm. If you don't post all the time, you don't get to have the fun of the algorithm roller coaster. That's for sure. All right, well, if Cecilia doesn't come back soon, or if nobody else comes back in the next 5 minutes or so, I think I'm just going to call it. If I do leave this up and people see the the replay of it, definitely go check out Al's Outdoors. This man is so talented in so many ways. As a hunter, a craftsman, there's not anything that this guy can't do. He's got his hands in everything, and his narration and his videos is so beautifully done. He has an excellent speaking voice, and just the way he presents himself is, you're not going to be disappointed. So definitely go check out Al's Outdoors. Cecilia's back. She said, yeah, for vitamin B. I wish I had been using it. Do you know what else? Urinary tract, blood sugar. You can go all the way back to the blood sugar. Let's say, oh God, there's so much to tell you. What I would start with, if I was having bladder issues, I would worry about, okay, it's probably the muscles, but you need to tighten them up. So that means that your high blood sugar or fluctuating blood sugar will make a mess of your muscles. It'll destroy muscle tone. I would work on tightening that up, and I would make sure that I cut back on my carbs and increase my protein and my fat, because that's what builds muscles. Oh, which vitamin B? I would be more interested in taking you could do vitamin B. Any of the B's are fine. The thing with the vitamin B's are we run through them so quickly if we're stressed out. I would say it would be better to get it from food, but if you wanted to take one, the one vitamin B that really makes a big difference with pretty much everything, it can cover. I know everybody wants to take a B complex, but B1, which is thiamine, it does a host of things for the body. And this is not a good, it's not a very good quality product, but I just happen to be in a store that only sold something like this, and I was starting to feel crappy for a while, and I said, you know what, I think I need some vitamin B, so I'm just going to pick some of this up. It's 100 grams. Yeah, energy support. You could try a really good B vitamin. Yes, thiamine complex if you want to. What I would start with are the basics and make sure that you're getting enough fat and protein, and cut back on the carbs, because the more carbs you eat, and it doesn't matter if it's healthy carbs or if it's junky carbs, they're going to deplete your B vitamins. You can try pure encapsulations, B complex. I've used a lot of pure encapsulations products, mostly magnesium, because man, I blow through magnesium like there is no tomorrow. And it's one of those things that your body just doesn't hang on to. The same thing with the bees. We blow through them through stress. But let's see, we have Pure Beef Complex Plus. Here it is. I'll put the link up for you if you want to give it a shot. This is one of my trusted brands that I like to use. But you also got to remember, because you've been doing this a long time too. You know a lot of natural ways to heal things. You also know that we can't always cherry pick. So a lot of times we have to get back to basics and just double check that diet and make sure that it's giving you everything that you need. Let's see. There we go. So check that out if you want. Let me see if I can get another one at a better price. Life extension is pretty good too. Al did a short on all the cats he caught. He did? See, there I am missing everything again. Gee, there's 3 people in there. If 2 people, oh, now there's 2. Everybody just kind of comes in, they go, and nobody wants to hang around. I'll probably delete this one. I had surgery, affected it, they kicked it, and since then I cannot control it. Oh God. They kicked it? You mean they fixed it? You think they fixed it? What exactly? Well, you don't have to tell me, because this is public. Like I said, I may delete it anyways because nobody really came in. Limited. Yeah, it most certainly is. It's tough to get good quality food, because I'm like that too. I mean, if I get a little extra, then I'll go and I'll spend like $100, and I'm really good about picking out my food. But it's super hard. If you can just keep the protein and the fat higher than the carbs, then you should do fine. You get enough good meat. Doesn't have to be the greatest, whatever you can afford. You're not as hungry as long. And with the fat, that you got to have the fat, because that helps you, because red meat has a lot of B vitamins in it. The fat will help you digest that very well, and it'll help increase the strength of your metabolism. See, life extension, B vitamin. Let's see if we get a better deal here. Complete B vitamins from Life Extension. Oh, this is a much better deal. Yeah, I'm going to put this up for you. Bioactive Complete B Complex. Is that the one that I want? Yep, that's the one. That's a great price. Pure encapsulations can be a little. I only buy that when I know I've got the money for it. But Life Extension, I use their. Oh, stop that! I hate it when they do that. Get on the email list and we'll give you a deal. I hate that. I cannot stand email lists. They drive me crazy. Yeah, I use Life Extension for my vitamin K2 with MK7. And here's this one for you. It's a much, much better deal. And I'm not sure if they will do business with Canada. I certainly hope that they do. Okay, that's an issue. Oh my God, Cecilia. Holy crap. I know what that's like. I didn't do it for 3 years, but I did it for 2020 from April through about January the next year. That's a much shorter time than 3 years. It is very, very hard. So if you're on disability, you should be able to get a little bit extra, hopefully. Canned items. Yeah, I know the price really hasn't gone down. Well, it rose a couple of months ago. It cost me $50 for it. That's terrible. Can you get crosscuts up in Canada? Crosscuts are the cow's legs. They're usually a lot cheaper. Or flank steaks, or what's the other one that's really cheap? Cube steak. We'll look at later. Yeah, definitely. It's a good, really, really good brand. Let's see, we got 3 in here. That means 2 people are lurking. Come on out, show yourself. Man, I have just been hitting the skids on lives. The last 2 have just sucked. No offense, Cecilia. It's great having you here, and it's nice talking with you. But I need my fireplace. I can't use my fireplace anymore because it was on like neutral ground. And when I used to get along with my neighbor, I could use it, but I don't go out there anymore because they're just going to start trouble. It's not worth it. Flake is still expensive. Oh, flank is still expensive. I usually get ground. Yeah, actually, there's nothing like a ribeye if you can afford it, or a T-bone, or a London broil. But actually, ground beef has got creatine, and they take it from the connecting tissue of the cow, and those are the things that help rebuild joints and help build muscle better. And yeah, ground meat is a lot. I never thought much of it until I really started to look into it, but it's got everything you need. And of course, make sure you eat it with some fat, some good butter or cheese, because we have to have the fat in order to metabolize the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Without it, we don't get a chance to utilize it at all. It just passes all completely out through the system. Really, it's been kind of cool down here too. It's like 45, 50 at night. We had one night over the last week or so that was maybe up in the 60s. It's a lot cooler than it has been. This reminds me so much of back in 1980 or 81, when Mount St. Helens erupted. It reminds me very much of that time, because it was the summer that never was. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I mean, usually by now, I mean, I'm wearing a tank top now, but I'm wearing a sweater over it because it's chilly out. In fact, what's the temp out there right now? I bet it's below 60, and it's June in New York, Southern New York. It should be like 70, 80. Yes, well, no, 63 degrees, but still, it's okay. There's 3 people in here. That means there's 2 hanging out. Now there's 4. So whoever you are, come on in and show yourself, or I'm going to shut this sucker down. I will have to redo my plants. 100 day, put down the 36. Yeah, we were like that for a while too, right through May. April got hot. I think we had 2 weeks where it was up in the 90s, and not every day, but we had a couple days during those 2 weeks back in April. And then we went right into a real chilly season. Actually, this reminds me a lot of upstate New York. I mean, even on Memorial Day, it can snow in upstate New York, and that's only at the southern tier, which is, what, 5 hours from the Canadian border. So, oh, your plants for your little garden, yeah. Oh, that stinks. Oh, that stinks. I know, it's so frustrating. I don't know if you know it, but I had to tear down my garden last year, the garden that I've had forever. And I've been gardening my entire life. This is my first year without a garden. But there's a lot of good reasons for it. When my neighbor started to get strange last year, I would go to work, and they were more than welcome to take out of my garden. They were usually gone most of the time, so what they did take was somewhat minimal, and it was mostly cucumbers, tomatoes, Swiss chard, some lettuce, beets. But last year, it was like it was like, totally devouring everything out of the garden. And I would come home from work. I planted what, maybe 20 potato plants, and I did them in succession. And the first plantings were ready, and I couldn't wait to come home and have a nice baked potato for dinner. And everything, I walked into the garden, everything was gone, and it kept happening. And I said something to them about it. I said, look, I don't mind if you take, but give at the same time. Don't just take and take and take and take. Well, that didn't work. Talking to them didn't work. Beating them about the head with a stick, that didn't work. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that, but I sure felt like it. I felt like backhanding them with a shovel, because they were just getting progressively worse as the summer went on. So I happened to catch him one day putting out plates of antifreeze-soaked cantaloupe. That's right, antifreeze-soaked cantaloupe around the yard to kill all the wildlife. I said, okay, you know what? Maybe a farmer did that once upon a time, long time ago, but that's animal cruelty and it's against the law. So he was like, yeah, basically that's the kind of attitude that I'm getting next door. It's really, really sad. And so I found that he put some in my garden one day. And I said, you know what? That's it. This garden is gone. Hey, there's New York Outcast. How are you doing? Oh, you've been sneaking around. Uh, well, like I said, I don't know. My live streams just do not get into the algorithm anymore. So, if you happen to stumble over it, that's cool. It's nice to have you here. And let's see, there's still 2 people lurking around out there. I think that's so funny. So what's new, New York Outcast? You're up there by Albany, aren't you? Or am I mistaken? Yeah, WoW is right, Cecilia. I mean, I know the Encon cops, the environmental conservation cops over at Stewart, where I hunt, pretty well. And I mentioned it, I ran it by them, and they said, yeah, if you can get a picture of them doing it, we'll come right over and pick them up. The problem is they'll detain him for what, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and then they'll release him, and he'll be back here seeking retaliation. That's why I need to get out of here. I mean, this is like the worst time in the world to move. The interest rates are super high. My old place probably isn't going to bring as much as I'd like it to. And to rent is unbelievable because the COVID evictions have caused such a problem. A lot of people milk the system, and maybe some of them have a good reason, but I don't think a lot of them did. But they milked the system and they took advantage of the moratorium. They kind of created their own moratorium. So New York State, and they extended it into this year from 2020. And in New York State, tenants have godlike rights, and they can pretty much get away with almost anything for the most part, except if you're a really good tenant, it turns out. learned that not too long ago. But if you're a bad guy and an outlaw, I'm not saying all of them are, and there are a lot of reasons why people still couldn't pay their rent or even their mortgage. I'm surprised I haven't seen a lot more sheriff evictions like in 2008, but the lawyers are busy protecting the landlords right now, and the landlords are trying to make up for lost time. So literally in the last week, the rents have jumped up $1,000. And I was talking to my lawyer today, and I said, am I saying things? She said, no, you're not. She said they actually did. And there's no foreseeable future that this is going to go down at all. But I mean, I'll look around sometimes and see which houses are for rent, and I found across the river for $50,000 a month. It wasn't even that great of a house. It's like, I understand that the landlords are now expecting the tenant to pay not only the taxes but the mortgage plus more, because they're trying to make up for the lost time and the collateral damage of 2020. But that's crazy, because I can remember a time, if you could afford $1,000 in rent, then you could afford a house. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with the 28% rule, but what that means is, and this goes way back to when I bought a house back in the late 80s, if your living expenses, food, and everything else, utilities, roof over your head, exceeded 28% of your income, you were way out of your league. And it was, that's been totally destroyed. That doesn't even account for anything anymore, because now nobody has any expendable cash. New York Outcast says, I'm doing okay, just thought I'd check it out. Oh, Binghamton area. Yeah, I used to have a house in, don't make fun of me now, Stylesville, New York. That's a mile outside of Deposit. I spent as little time in Deposit as possible. I loved it up there. New York Outcast says, I keep a good eye on my garden, and the cameras help. Not with these people. I mean, if I went out there and did what I should do to stop them from doing this, I would be in jail. But it's just, I mean, the amount of arrogance and malignant narcissism that has arisen since 2020 is scarily out of control. Cecilia says, do you have trail cams that you can put? It doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make it. They don't care. They do not care. And it's not even, there is no more garden anymore for me, because he put antifreeze soaked cantaloupe in my garden. That soil is destroyed. There's no way I would ever eat anything out of that. So, I mean, and he put this antifreeze soaked cantaloupe all over his yard too, and he actually built a garden where he was putting this antifreeze soaked cantaloupe. And it's like, they're already losing their marbles, and now they're going to be eating vegetables out of this ground that's been contaminated with antifreeze. Antifreeze does not dilute that well. It stays pretty strong even when it rains. It can still cause nervous problems. Yeah, cameras are not going to do any. No, not going to do any good. And in New York, if you brandish a gun, you're the bad guy. We just can't do that. It stinks, because I'd like to do a nice pistol whipping on somebody. That's for damn sure. In your opinion? No, rent is crazy. That's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's outrageous. And like I was just explaining, these landlords are making up for lost time, big time. Megan Kelly, she has posted that there is something you can apply for if you work during. Yeah, I tried to as much as I could. I lost most of my research contracts. Government is. Oh, no. Because the .gov is the reason we got into this mess in the first place. So they can kiss my ass and drop dead and go straight to hell. Screw them. I'd rather live on the street. No, thank you. How about putting down some tarp and right? No, because the soil has been contaminated with antifreeze. Can't. I'm not doing it. There's no way. I mean, that's serious stuff. I have a friend who grew up in Pierce, South Dakota. I ran it by her, and she's. I mean, she grew up a farmer's daughter, and she said, she said, I've never even heard of that. She said that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I mean, somebody who soaks cantaloupe in antifreeze is not in their right mind. Not even close. They keep making new affordable housing that the majority can't. Yeah, yeah. Same down here. We've got one going up. Where the heck is it? Not too far from here. My friends up the street were telling me about it. But it's not. It's not going to be like, $700. It's going to be more like 2,000. So, based on the 28% rule, which worked great for everybody, in order to afford a $2,800 a month apartment, you would have to be making 10 grand a month. So, good luck with that. All right. So there's 2 in here and there's 5 watching. Wherever you are, come out wherever you are. Yeah, I don't know when it's ever going to change. I mean, it's not good. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I work so hard and spend so much time going to school. I don't care what my age is. I don't care if I work until I die. But I need to change things because this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And then, of course, down this way, I don't know if it's happening up your way, New York Outcast, but the illegal immigrants that they're bussing in, we're losing let's say the motels. A lot of them were Section 8, quiet places. Nothing was going on there. A lot of veterans were living in these motels, and they're older motels. Some of them were renovated. They're not rat traps. They're just older, and they had been displaced by the illegal aliens. And for a while there, for like 3 weeks, I mean, everywhere I drove to, if I passed one of these older motels, it was like a who's who in law enforcement because they were evicting the guys who were there. Some of them are still transient workers, but most of them live there full time. The veterans and people who can't afford anything else, and they, like I said, they're quiet places. They're not like having beer parties, booze parties every night and shooting them up. They just, told them that's it. You're out. We need this for the illegal aliens. 1 bedroom up here starts at, yeah, that down here they just went up 1,000, so they're starting at like 3,000. That's 3,000 used to be like the San Remo in New York City, overlooking Central Park. You know where you can get a $700 apartment down in the boroughs of Manhattan, not Manhattan, but in the boroughs. Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, um, Upper Harlem, and Staten Island. But that's a hell of a trip to come back. Yeah, I mean, you'd be making up for the difference just in travel, plus the tolls. You got a bunch of tolls to go through, and all of that has gone up. Every single one of them, they've gone up at least $1.50, maybe. We've had nothing but trouble with a few hotels with rooms paid by the state. Is the New York Outcast? Are you talking about the illegal aliens that are being moved in to take the place of the veterans and the downtrodden? Because that's exactly what's happening here. Here's something that's pretty controversial. I know somebody who's in the county legislature, and she was telling me that the groups that they flew in to Stewart International Airport in Newburgh last year, and they bust out throughout the area, the illegal immigrants, that is, a lot of them died of exposure and starvation in the woods around the area. And of course, we don't hear about that, but that's between us and the lamppost. Come on, who's hiding out there? Oh, there's always a stalker. All right, no, it's so strange. No, No, there's so many of these things that don't. It's just incredible. You know, when I used to work for the state park, that was in my younger years, and that's when I discovered how much actually does happen that we never heard about. Some of ours had that, but they were always quiet. You know, the police, there was never police action. You know, there was never arson or anything. Um, if there were deaths, we didn't hear about that. A lot of them are pretty high profile, so you know they're like right along main roads. If something was going on, we would have seen it. I've been looking at these motels for years. There's only one I can think of that sets way in the back, but it's part of an old like kind of like a lodge country club from the old days. And they you know, the ones that are roadside along main highways like Route 9W, Route 32, places like that, that were actually meant for travelers going to the Catskills back in the day, or people who wanted to come up to the area to see the historic sites. You never saw the police around there. Never. It was never dirty. You never saw trash blowing around. You never saw piles of trash. And all of a sudden, for about a 3 week stretch there, about a month ago, every law enforcement agency, somebody representing each one of them was at these motels because they were evicting the veterans and making room. Hey, Walter Davis, how are you doing? Thanks for coming in. What's going on? What state are you in, Walter? All the motels that were up here have been torn down. Really? Wow. Ugh. You know, all of this kind of reminds me of the 70s, except everybody was really an outlaw in the 70s, and they had some uniqueness to them, and they were clever, and the mob was running pretty much everything in the 70s. So it could be interesting. You just had to watch your back, you had to stay on your toes. But now it's like this weird mental retardation. Everybody's just a crazy mofo, and it's nuts. I mean, people don't even think straight. It's like everybody's got brain inflammation because that's actually what mental illness is. It's inflammation of the brain in different degrees. Oh, you're in Pennsylvania. Yeah, you just got home. I've even been looking over the border. Last October, my brother finally broke away from New York and he moved to the Milford area in Pennsylvania, and he got a really nice priced apartment. But it's been, well, no, it hasn't been a year yet, but I'm willing to bet that's going to skyrocket because I'm watching all of them. I'm covering what, one, two, three, probably 12 counties just to see what's going on right around my area. Walter says no one has any memory. Yeah, yeah, no conscience either. It's really, really sad. And those of us who do, makes it very, very frustrating for us because they want us to think. A lot of it's gaslighting activity too. A lot of narcissistic gaslighting, and I think some of it's intentional, and they're doing it just to brainwash because that kind of crap has been going on for years. The state kicked out all the mentally disabled and moved in people with drug issues for more money. Oh yeah, yeah, always on the dole. So now the mentally disabled run the streets, right? And I don't know if it happened in Pennsylvania, but I know it happened in New York. In early 2020, one of my neighbors' wives was working for one of the upstate New York correctional facilities. And she would sit in her car out on the road before she even pulled into the complex and just cry because she knew that when she got into her office, she would have a slew of emails from the governor of New York at the time, which was Cuomo, another crime family. And every one of them was asking her to set the release papers in motion. One of these people, just to give you an example, one of these people who the governor wanted released from prison was a fellow who right around my area had come home from work, and He shot his wife and his two boys. The one boy did not die right away, so he set the house on fire. And she said every single day she went to work, there were loads of emails telling her which dangerous criminals to release. So she quit her job. And all of our asylums, well, I'm kind of old school, so I call them asylums, I guess, institutions, sanitariums, mental health institutions, pretty much all of them but one. The only one that's left is out in Middletown, New York, and I don't even know if they're running on full staff anymore or if they're even using all the buildings out there, because it was a pretty big complex. And I know people who went there who got help back in the 80s. But the rest of them, Letchworth, and I can't remember some of the other names. Oh, McQuaid. McQuaid was a school for what was it called? Oh God, back in the day, it was like a detention hall kind of school. Instead of going to jail, they put the kids into these private schools. All of those are closed. And I know that the McQuaid School for boys, that's not far from here, now it's full of illegal aliens. Milford is very nice, but the apartments, I don't know, I guess he's near that area. He's not right in town. It's a cute, cute little town. The apartments are expensive, and anything outside of it, a home, it's all under homeowners associations, and I do not like that. Not just upriver from Stockton, New Jersey. My family lives. They said it wasn't an illness; it was a lifestyle choice. Yeah, bull. You know yourself. I'm preaching to the choir. Bullshit. Yeah, they're glorifying mental illness. Mental illness is I mean, it's happening to my neighbors and having to deal with it. I mean, I've got a lawyer that I've been working with, and she's giving me options, and there's things that we can do. But it's tough in New York because they have a lot of protection. And this crap, as you know, it's been going on. I think they started with the transhumanism around 2012, I believe it was, and then it just started to escalate. Oh, really? Yeah, I wasn't sure. I haven't been paying attention to outside the state, but I'm not saying they were perfect. Sometimes they were hellholes for people. I know that Letchworth down in Rockland County has its own cemetery back in the woods, and you can go there, and people do still to this day go there and visit, and it's a well-kept cemetery. And there are names on the graves. Some of them were lucky enough. Somebody was kind enough to buy them a real headstone and put their full name on it with date of birth and date of death. But what I have noticed with a lot of them is they all seem to die within the same period of years. And those years were 1954, I think, through 1957. And if I'm not mistaken, I think electroshock was coming into fashion at the time. I got to wonder if they were people who were basically, just stuck there because somebody had a really good insurance plan through whatever job they had, maybe the phone company or the railroad or something, and the doctors just took advantage of it, or they were just plain forgotten and they were used as experiments for this. What does Walter have to say? Yeah, a lot of places have done that too, but unfortunately, most of ours have shut down. I mean, these beautiful old buildings are just full of bats and owls now, and poison ivy vines. It's full of young people who burn. Was that full of young people who burn their heads? Yeah, yeah, big, big, big problem. Lots of places, treatment centers, daycares, and schools. In Pennsylvania, huh? Oh no, that's New York. Sorry, New York outcast. I missed that. Yeah, yeah. They wanted to see what voltage they could use. So I mean, there's this whole row in this Letchworth Village cemetery down there in Rockland County. I go past it when I do one of my my projects down in that area, and every once in a while I stop in, and I can't help you can't it's uncanny, you can't help but notice this timeline and the amount of headstones that fit within that time frame of death. And that's what I'm thinking it probably was. But like I said, if you had a family that cared for you, the father, it would have been the father at the time who had a really good health insurance policy, and you had somebody advocating for you, you could do pretty well in a lot of these places. Like I said, Middletown was very good. Um, there was a girl I went to high school with. Something went wrong, and she got stuck saying the same thing over and over. She became highly obsessed over something, and she couldn't stop. And they put her into Middletown Psych. This was back in the late '80s, and they did right by her. I mean, she's grandmother now. She did great, but I mean, if she was in a place that or she was just dumped there and nobody cared about her, and she was getting the minimal care, she would probably still be stuck on whatever that phrase was that she kept saying over and over again. It's really sad. Oh, plenty of it has. New York Outcasts. Pretty deplorable stuff. But again, like I said, at the same time, I know people who have been helped. Cecilia says young people do not all of them, but there are an awful lot of them who don't want to. They're entitled and they want things handed to them. I work around young people all the time. I work around college grads. In fact, next week, the following week, I have to go down to my old Girl Scout camp in Harriman State Park, and I have some classes to teach. And I did it last year, and I absolutely loved it. These kids were awesome. I was old enough to be their mother, and they were just fantastic. But that's a small portion of the very small portion of the population. That's not speaking for everyone. I've seen a video of standing work. Well, because insurance is, it's unlawful not to have insurance. Does he mean car insurance? Oh, he doesn't want to pay for his food either. Oh, poor baby. Maybe he should go out in the woods and live with the damn bear. Yeah, that's a mental illness right there, Cecilia. That's really sad to think that, it was like our pleasure to go out and work. You were capable of doing it. You got creative about it. Yeah, it can suck paying bills sometimes. I'm good at it. I'm very organized. Everything is always on time, even during COVID. I didn't take any aid from anybody, government or state, and I lived off my savings. But that's beside the point. But I mean, when we were growing up, my dad died when we were really young. So my mom sat us down with a checkbook and some bills and said, okay, this is how this works, and this is how you balance the checkbook, and this is how you pay your mortgage and your taxes, and this is the best way to have your taxes set up. Make sure it's fixed, not APR. Blah blah blah, the whole thing. So it's just something you get used to doing. Yeah, it would be great if somebody else did. That's the problem with my neighbors. They're trust fund babies. So they have no responsibility, and they're getting up into their 60s now, and all they eat are friggin' sweet potatoes for breakfast, for crying out loud, and nothing but like buckets of vegetables all day long that have been contaminated with antifreeze. Oh my God, it's just going to get worse from here on in. Yeah, just go out and do it. You're right, Cecilia. Just get out and work. Walter says some of those places. Yeah, the architecture was really incredible. Sometimes. I know a lot of people who worked in the ones around here. Some were security guards, some worked in the office, some worked down on the floor. And they said, it depended sometimes on who was there and what level of severity they were at. Middletown Psych is very unique, Middletown Psych Center in New York, because up until 1957, they were treating people with homeopathy. Homeopathy is plant, animal, mineral medicine that actually is supposed to mimic the problem that you have, and then what it does is it improves the immune system so that the body can fight it like more on an even playing field. I've used it before for pain and other problems, and damn, that shit works. So that's what Middletown Psych did. Before it was Middletown Psych, it was called I think it was called the New York Homeopathy Hospital. A friend of mine, before the AMA stormed its doors and they got rid of the homeopathy side of it, and they wanted to push the Rockefeller Pharmaceuticals, a friend of mine happened to know a fellow who worked there. He was the director of the homeopathy department and homeopathic department. And he had these records on people from like homeopathy started, I think, in the 1890s, late 1890s. He had records on people that were so thin because when they came in, they were treated with the homeopathy, not a pharmaceutical, which is nothing but poison. And by the way, I don't know if everybody knows this, but your pharmaceuticals, they're all oil-based. You can thank Standard Oil and Rockefeller for that. Every single one of them, there is no exception. From Advil to Oxycontin, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's oil-based. It's poison. You're literally ingesting poison. So anyhow, she got a hold of these files from like the 1890s up until around the 1950s. And she only has 2 boxes of them because they weren't giant files, because they weren't put on prescription pills, which were making them worse all the time. Another thing prescription pills do is it leaches the vitamins and minerals out of your body, leaving you malnourished and susceptible to more disease. It's a never-ending circle. And yeah, I mean, I looked at some of them, and they came in terrible shape, and they were treated with homeopathy out there in Middletown, and they were out within a year. It's just pretty incredible. So some of them have a really amazing past. All right, I'm falling behind. That was some kind of nervous breakdown. Faster. Foster care child that would get. Yeah, it was definitely her nervous system, and something threw it off. Cecilia and I were just talking about B vitamins earlier. Depletion and severe depletion in potassium and B vitamins will cause your nervous system to basically keep backfiring, and then it's misinterpreted as a mental disease when really it's just malnourishment due to depletion of minerals. Minerals run the show. Yeah, yeah. And I'm willing to bet if they just got him some good B vitamins and got his put some salt in his water with some potassium, even an adrenal cocktail would have felt a lot better. But they probably gave him oil-based pharmaceuticals, and it will get rid of the symptom, but it's not going to get to the bottom of the problem. Okay, I fell behind. Oh, we have 7 in here now. We've been here for an hour and a half. Okay, so I just need to give live streams more time. I always went on an hour. Okay, my great-grandmother was forced into. That happened a lot. Yeah, and that wasn't her fault. This one could get. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a book that was written back in the 70s, New York Outcast, called Women in Madness. And basically what it explained was that when women started, because this country does not handle menopause well, and I don't mean to make anybody uncomfortable, but as an NTP, that's what I focus on because they are the forgotten women. But a lot of women ended up hooked on Valium, and they were just thrown into institutions and forgotten about. The depression, I don't know what age she might have been perimenopause or menopause related. I mean, back in my day, it was just plain cold to change. But, doctors have to make more money. So if they separate things into specialties, they can bilk the insurance companies and not worry about ICD coding audits and just make as much damn money as they want. Your grandmother got her out. That's a feat. That's a feat. I don't know what year that was, but God bless her for doing that because when they got their hooks in you, the mafia, the medical police state, they are not going to let you go because they want the money. And that's all this is about. It's not about you getting better. It's not about curing you. It's not about making you feel better. It's about keeping you just comfortable enough in your illness to make as much money as they can off of you. That's why I would rather lay on the couch and die than go back to a doctor. I'm not doing it. Screw them. I mean, if a bear attacks me and tears my face off, yeah, they could rebuild it, but but I'm not going because my back hurts or maybe my gallbladder bothers me a little bit or I have IBS. And I got news for everybody. All these different names for intestinal dysfunction, that's all it is. It's just intestinal dysfunction. It's all the same thing. Again, it's been separated for money purposes into specialties. Yeah. Yeah, and the longer they were kept there, the worse it got because if they knew they still were of sound mind and body, and they knew they weren't supposed to be there. A lot of times they were silenced with prescription meds, and Valium was one good way of doing it. A friend's mother had been in. Her husband threw her in. She started to go through the change, and I'm not sure where it was. It was somewhere down by the city. Might have been Long Island or Staten Island, but she ended up addicted to Valium, and then once she finally got sprung from the mental institution, she had to go into rehab because of the Valium addiction, and she finally got off it, and she lived a good long time after that. Good for you, Cecilia. Tell them all to go to hell. Yeah, that stimulus check. It's like, yeah, right here, man. I wrote on it, return the sender. You can kiss my ass. No, thank you. Talk about bribe money. Good Lord. Fell behind in the chat here. Oh, wow, we have 8. Feel so honored. The whole, I want my kids to have it easier than I had it. Got out of control. My parents wanted that too. My dad was in World War II in Korea, and the main thing he said to us was he didn't fight in 2 wars for his kids to go into the service to become guinea pigs. It's an awful lot that man saw. God, if I knew half of it. He died in 1975 because he just knew too damn much. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're not teaching them how to be community-minded people. They're teaching them to tear down society. It's really sad. I fell way behind. Yeah, not just soft New York outcasts, but feeble-minded. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw any of my videos over the past week, but this whole thing with the bear situation in New York, it's pretty serious because the state, anybody who's contracting work from them, like field biologists and such, and you have to sign a waiver for injury. So, like I was saying to Cecilia earlier, either I do know of a woman who does trail maintenance for them who did get hurt recently. Could be because she got hurt, or many people got hurt. Somebody got killed, or they're anticipating a lot of problems with the wildlife out there. I mean, I have been hiking and camping and hunting and fishing for 48 years, and I have never seen this much activity out there with the predators. And I know that a lot of people have moved up from the city. That's always been the case around here, but they don't want anybody on their property. They don't want anybody hunting there because, well, that's cruel. I know in upstate New York, a farmer who I'm familiar with up there, there was a patch of land that his family had farmed for generations, and some city people moved up, bought the property, said, "Oh yeah, we don't want that here. We don't want that big, smelly combustion engine." going past our house. We want a place to walk our dogs safely. We don't want that machine coming through. Well, what happens on old farmland? The invasives move in. It ruins the environment and the ecology of the area. Not to mention you're going to end up with a ton of ticks, and you're probably going to end up with a good infestation of mice and then copperheads. So why would you want to do that? Let the farmer use the field. But that's the way it's a convoluted state of mind. It's almost like a sociopathic infant when I hear these people talk, and yeah, they're just not getting it. I mean, everything is like a friggin' unicorn rainbow party for them. It's pretty bad. You know, years ago, I would meet people here and there who were like that once in a blue moon, and I would get away from them, do whatever business I had to do with them, and then move on and never have to see them again. And I remember thinking, God, thank God it was only that one person. God forbid everybody got like that. Guess what? 2020 happened. Yeah, I know. And they're putting people into danger by being influencers too. A lot of them come up with the stupidest ideas. Go way behind with mineral oils. Yeah, it's mineral oil. You're right, Walter. Not coconut or something good for the skin. You know what I found out years ago? I got sick 10 years ago. I should have left here 10 years ago, but I got sick. And it was a safe place, and I thought I'd hang around. And I ended up curing myself because 12 doctors couldn't figure it out. You know, just take an antidepressant. It's all in your head. So while I was researching what was wrong with me, turned out, you know, it was plant-based diet. Bad, bad, bad idea. What the hell was I thinking? All I knew was steak. And I discovered fat wax, and I have some videos about that. And what fat wax is what our ancestors used to condition their hair, their skin, waterproof their clothing, and condition their tack, you know, horse tack with, and their keep their tools from rusting. All it is lard. Now, back in the 18th century, it would have been lard because we were predominantly farming pigs. Not so much beef came later. That came around the 19th century. But in the 18th century, which is anywhere from 1700 to 1799, we were mostly pigs. So it would have been lard and beeswax. And there is nothing better on this earth for your skin than pig fat or um, beef tallow. You can even use duck fat and beeswax. I mean, beeswax it just, you know, your skin still breathes, but it protects it. A tick gets on me and curls up. Now I have to be careful with that out in the woods this year. I have to switch to organic shea butter, which is made by a family down in Harlem. And I've been using it for years. It's really, really good stuff. And of course I get the white from them because, you know, I'm a white girl. But the tick, when I have the fat wax on, the tick will crawl up. And as it's walking, looking for a place to put its proboscis in, it's walking through the fat wax. And it's not on my skin very thick, but they're so close to the skin that they're pushing it up and pushing it up as they're going along. They're like plowing it. And eventually I find them on my hairs, on my skin, dead. And they never made contact. They never bit through the skin. They never latched on. They die because they literally suffocate in the fat wax. Yeah, that's why I tell everybody, Walter, to get your B vitamins from red meat. You know, stop it with this plant-based crap. I'm sorry, we're not ruminants. You know, we don't have the digestive enzymes to handle vegetables that much. Yeah, I've heard of people who have been vegan or vegetarian, well, vegan mostly, for, you know, 30 years, 40 years, and then all of a sudden they drop dead of a heart attack. I'm not saying that can't happen to anybody, but what they told us about how dangerous meat is, nothing but bullshit. You know, get it, and yeah, you don't have to overdo it. But you know what happens is people here, everybody feels so miserable because they don't know how to balance their plate. and eat the right foods and eat them in the right amounts. What I suggest to everybody is cut back on the carbs, especially the processed garbage. You don't need it because they're mostly full of vegetable oils, canola, safflower. What else is out there? And soy. Uh, Deadly, absolutely deadly. It is not healthy for you at all. And beef up the fat and the protein. Don't go overboard in protein because that can lead to blood sugar dysregulation, and you can end up with diabetes. But just keep it simple. Like when we were growing up. I mean, I don't know if everybody else went through this, but my mom, piece of meat, vegetable. That's it. Thanksgiving, a little bit more. Christmas, there was a little bit more to eat. So just keep it very simple. Hey, it's Wookie in the Wild. All right. How you doing? Thanks for coming in. I felt way behind here. Actually, Cecilia, if you just cut back on some of those carbs, man, and anything, look at your labels. I know everybody thinks that's some kind of weird thing, but no, looking at your labels really means something. If you see vegetable oil in there, throw it away. And I'm going to give everybody else a warning too about olive oil. Cut back on that. All right, because the thing is, in Italy, they don't cook with it because they know that if it gets hot, it turns rancid and then it causes major oxidation in the body. Just stick with butter. That's all you need. You just need butter. Start off with a low flame if you don't want it to burn or you don't want things to stick. I've been cooking in a stainless steel pan, butter and eggs and steak and everything else for years and years. And maybe if I'm in a rush or something, once in a blue moon, I might burn something, but it's extremely rare. Tallow, I prefer butter. If I can get grass-fed, pasture-raised, and even at that, you got to be careful because the labeling there's a lot of freaking lies. I've heard from people in the vitamin industry that the process to create vitamins always destroys health benefits. No, 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 you're on topic, Wookie. No, you're right. It depends on who it comes from, too. Most supplements are, yeah, I've had pretty good luck with some. I fell real short. Every once in a while, every winter, I fall short of thiamine. So I'll go out and I'll grab some. It's probably the vitamin D conversion. That's another thing. If you have vitamin D3 in your cabinet, throw it away. It's just going right through you. Your body can't metabolize that. Vitamin D is metabolized through high enough cholesterol, and cholesterol is not the bad guy, and the sun's rays. And you know where it's made? Where vitamin D is made? It's made by cholesterol in your gut after you get enough sunshine. That's how it's done. You don't get it from taking it from a pill. So I've actually had some good luck, and I know I'll tell you this: if I am to suggest any vitamins to anybody, it would be vitamin E with mixed tocopherols. Um, must be sunflower oil. Has to be. Anything else, just keep walking because it's garbage. And vitamin K2 with MK7. Vitamin E and vitamin K um, will, it just does amazing things. Vitamin E will help your body. What our bodies are supposed to do with enough vitamin E, and I'm going to give you another tip. Fish oil depletes vitamin E. Fish oil is bad news. If you have that too, get rid of it. I didn't expect this to turn into this. I actually wanted to talk about hunting and bears, but that's okay. Our bodies are built to, if it has enough cholesterol and enough fat, because we have to have both of them, they're not bad guys. If there's a blockage in a vessel in our bodies or in an artery, our bodies are designed to build another road around it. And vitamin E is significant in the building of these extra um, uh, vessels. So what happened in the 90s? Vitamin E. I grew up with old people who took vitamin E all the time. They were fine. I'm sorry, I did not hear of heart attacks when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s. That all of a sudden in the 80s, I'm hearing, oh, yeah, well, you know, anybody who grew up in the 50s and 60s, everybody around them dropped dead of a heart attack. I was like, yeah, really? Because I don't remember any of that. And everybody smoked and drank back then, but they were fine. But people had much stronger resistance back then. They also had higher vitamin stores and higher fat stores because they ate more off the land than we did. Yes, World War II created a lot of processed garbage, but a lot of these people were born in the 1890s, 1900s, 1910s, and 1920s, 1930s too, and those people did not eat that garbage. So they were much stronger. They were able to handle a lot more. I mean, Christ, they handled DDT, for God's sakes. People today, they're so weakened, and you know, you go into the store and you see all this crap, this Beyond Burger. God, don't ever eat that stuff. It's so bad for you. It's disgusting. I know I went off on a tangent and I got kind of squirrely, but that's the way it's been lately. That's okay. I'm learning how to focus because I decided to start paying attention to my degree, and I have good news about that. The college that I go to is like an all-person school. It's a SUNY, and they give loads of credit for personal life experience. When I went over what I have available with my advisor, she said, Irene, you're looking at like 135 to 137 credits here. All I need for a bachelor's is 124. So we still have to do the general education. And then with that, that's going to give another excess because that's going to open up a space in there. And so I said, well, why can't we push that towards masters? And so we're going to have a talk about that at the end of June. And I have to get some essays together. So I'm learning how to, because last year I was doing so much, my brain was, I had so many different compartments I was trying to get things done in. I got used to thinking that way, and it's a bad habit. So if I trail off, I apologize, but it's because of you take on too much. We think we're multitasking, but we're really not. We're really just confusing ourselves. Okay, let me catch up with the chat. This is nice, man. 7 people in here. So nice to have everybody. I miss doing these, especially by the fire, but I can't do that anymore because neighbor might come out and try to kill me, and then I'm going to have to shoot him. But you didn't hear that from me. Yeah, fermented foods are good. Sauerkraut, kimchi. Be really careful with it though. All you need is a tiny, tiny bit, like maybe the size of your thumbnail, maybe a tiny bit more, because of the lectins, the oxalates in those vegetables. The fermentation process doesn't take them out, and the goitrogens too. They can really slow down your. If you eat too much of it, it can pretty much crash your thyroid. And the oxalates, what they do is it's like taking a oily prescription pill, and what it will do is it will latch onto, again, your vitamins and minerals and leach them right out of your body. And that's what happened to me 10 years ago, eating too many vegetables. I just, you know, I ran it. I was great for 3 years, and then all of a sudden my fat stores ran out. Boy, I was in trouble. Colloidal silver, what the it's a heavy metal. I would, Wookie, I would, if you're still here, I would use oregano instead. Oregano is amazing. Oregano can pretty much cure Lyme disease if you dedicate yourself to it. Let me show it to you. It's up to you, but what I would suggest, can we see this? Do I know what I'm doing? There it is. Do you see it? I will put up a link for it. This is the real stuff. It's heavy duty. I can only take a little tiny bit, and that's I would switch out to this. If you don't want to do it, it's up to you. I can't tell you what to do, but I would back off the heavy metal right now, and I would use the oregano. Let me turn my light off. Maybe you can see that better. There we go. That's it right there. And oregano is so good and so strong that it can turn septic water clean. Now, I have not experimented with that, but That's what I've learned. I used to use colloidal silver. There's something else to that that I'm not remembering, and if it comes to me while we're in this live stream, I'll let you know, or I'll send you a private message on Facebook. Oregano, where are we? This is the one we want. We want the one that's grown in the wild. Yet oregano does not grow in farms. It grows on rocky escarpments in the Italian Alps. This is the Mediterranean source P73. P73. Again, this is completely up to you, but this is what I would like to see. If you were under my care, this is what I would want you to use instead of the heavy metal. I would back off that a little bit. I mean, it's up to you. If it's working, that's fine. But once that infection is gone, get the hell off that stuff because it can end up causing you some issues. Why am I not finding this? I fall behind. They use soldiers. Oh my God, Cecilia, that's why my dad didn't want us going into the service because there was some nasty shit going on there. Oregano. Why am I not finding oregano? All right, I feel like I'm neglecting everybody. Is this the one that I want? Nope, that's not going to do it either. Yeah, somebody just made a statement about colloidal silver. I can't remember what the hell it was. Is this the one? I don't know why it's not coming up. It's coming up with different. It keeps coming up with orega, but it's not coming up as oregano. Oregano. Well, there it is. I'm going to put this link up for you if you're interested. Great. If not, tell me to go to hell. Let's see, where are we? Come on. Enough with the internet. It's Verizon, for God's sakes. There it is. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, let me get back to this because I'm falling behind. Yeah, self-censored sociopaths, no doubt about it. Yep, New York Outcast, you're right. If you're still here, they most certainly are. Yeah, that's the problem I have. I mean, I'm on Instagram. I answer a lot of questions as an NTP. I love answering questions. But what people are doing is they're cherry picking by asking me questions like that. It's very, very hard to get somebody to change your habits because even though I was trying to make it very simple, don't do too much at once. Even if you make one change, they're going to see a difference. But people don't want to do that. They think that in order to be healthy, they have to give up all their favorite foods. I didn't. I found out the hard way that it doesn't work like that. I ended up getting sick. I mean, right now, this is a homemade mocha chocolate latte. There's nothing wrong with that. It's got great fat in there. The chocolate has loads of magnesium. The milk has B vitamins, and what is it? A little bit of sugar. Oh, and sugar is not our enemy either, and neither is tobacco. They're both scapegoats. I got a million of them. Old true. I see mine. Yeah, my dad is gone, but he did some badassery that I don't know about. And sometimes I wish, I go to his grave to check on it, and I wish I could put plug in a pair of headphones to it and just say, Dad, what happened? Tell me. I think he knew about MK Ultra, all that stuff. I really believe he did. He just knew too much. I mean, it would really get him down sometimes. He hated the whole thing. And oh, and 2020, he warned us about that back in the early 70s. So did my mother. In fact, I don't know if anybody remembers, but in what was it, 1976, the swine flu scare. Look it up on YouTube. It should still be there. It was the Mike Wallace. I'll put up a link for it if I could find it. I'm surprised it wasn't scrubbed. It was the Mike Wallace interview. It was a scam, just like 2020. The problem is more people fell for it because there are more, people have not, people have lost their common sense. So in 1977, it was actually Mary Tyler Moore who blew the lid off of that one because I'm not sure exactly who it was, but somebody tried to use her name and say that, well, if Mary Tyler Moore got then you should too. And she said, wait a minute, I never said that. So then Mike Wallace got on it. What was that, 60 Minutes? I think that's it. Shoot. What did we do here? 1976, I think it was. Swine flu. Oh, there it is, 2020. Was it 2020 or was it 1976? Oh, God, there's more of them. There was only one years ago. Yeah, I remember those commercials. My dad was dead by then, but my mom sat us down and said, when those commercials came on, they were horrendous. It was, oh, Mary didn't get her jab, and she went on a plane, and she infected everybody at the airport and on the plane, and they all died. And then she landed, and she went out into this town in Ohio, and she infected everybody, and they all died. And isn't Mary just the devil for doing that? And when did we hear that again? In 2020. Yeah, there were some lawsuits from people who took it back then. I think the original might be gone. Is this it? Yeah, there are more, but I'm not seeing the original one. So that's what I learned from it. And in February 2020, when all this crap started to happen, I said, looks like it's 1976 all over again. I seem to be the only one who said that. And I posted and reposted that video over and over and over, and people just would not watch it. They wanted to watch the TV and believe the lies. Now here's Ford holds a press conference in Washington. I'll find it eventually. I'll put it up on my community board. Oh my God, Celia! Wow, expired drugs, man, that's nasty. I like coconut oil too, but hey, there's Bill Schmidt. I like butter better. Did you know, Cecilia? I don't know if you're still here. There's only 4 people here. Coconut oil is the only true 100% saturated fat there is. And that's coconut oil. I had to take a high trail out, and there was it. Oh my God, Bill! I'm so glad to hear you say that. I can't believe how many I'm seeing. I'm sorry, I was busy looking for something and I missed you coming in, but I am so glad to hear somebody else say that because I'm almost afraid. Well, I'm not afraid, but I'm almost hesitant to talk about it because people are just, what I'm seeing out on the trail are people who are, big time predator sympathizers. I'm sorry, a black bear will eat you as soon as a grizzly would. So you don't mess with them. Wow, Bill. No kidding. I had to take a high. Yeah, the coyote. I've been able to skirt past the bears, and I had to go out and buy bear spray just in case because I got a lot of work to do this summer out in the field. But the coyote, I was not thrilled about. I was ready to crack their heads open if I could. Damn it! It's like Christ, man. When I was a kid, we would just hunt. The hunting back that's in the title here. That was a kind of like a term that I heard the old timers use. You know, just hunt it back, keep the community safe, and hunt everything back. And now people want bear and coyote to curl up in their freaking laps. Walter Davis said we had pigs, pork 4 times a week for dinner, every day for breakfast. Fed the dog scraps. Never had. Damn right, Walter. Damn right. That's great. I love it. We were designed. Yes, we were designed to be omnivores. Absolutely. I totally agree. And what did I do to this? Oh, Irene, but when you're on tight budget, pasta is a must if you want to eat. I know, but that's just try to get a really good quality one, and try to get enough butter with it because your body needs it in order to digest it. Thanks for being here. Oh, thank you, Wookie. I don't know if you're still in here. There's only 4 people. I know I got so distracted looking for this Mike Wallace interview. I'll never give up beef, chicken, pork, or fish. Yeah, I never completely gave it up, but I cut it out too much, and that's where I ended up with problems. I read ingredients almost every. Some county projects. Yep, yep, yeah. It's a shame. It really does suck. Sort of. You don't want to be too moderate with the essentials. You know, basically you want a plate that has fat, protein, and carb. You don't want to cut out any of those. Keep them all together. Like for breakfast, I have 3 eggs. I have a couple pieces of bacon. Depending on how money is, I might have to cut it back to 2 eggs. Ideally, to get the right amount of choline, the recommended amount a day, you should have 3. If you can't, do 2. If you can't do that, do 1. But let's see, what else do I have? I have a piece of sourdough bread because our ancestors knew that sourdough was the only true digestible. You had to ferment the wheat. Whole wheat bread is not healthy. It's hell on the digestive system. It will destroy your gut. Sourdough, loads of butter, my own homemade violet jelly, and what else do I have? Oh, and some fruit. You got to have some fruit. So, but I don't eat big pieces of it like I used to. Like I won't eat a whole apple. I only eat a couple slices. I might have a couple of tiny pieces of what do you call it? Walnut. Right now I'm into cherries, so I'll have that for breakfast. But I'm not going to have a handful. I'm just going to have maybe 2 or 3. You don't need a huge amount. Wookie, are you eating enough cholesterol? Because your body will compensate for it if you're not intaking enough of it. That's the reason why. I mean, you could go take as many cholesterol tests as you want, and you could experiment with it. Cut back on your cholesterol. Your body is going to compensate, and it's going to go right through the roof. Because what it's trying to do, cholesterol is what helps rebuild the cells, repair the muscles, the tendons, the arteries, everything. It also keeps our brains functioning. So your body is going to completely compensate for it if you take it out. And it's really a shame because these numbers, since they've been talking about it since the 80s, I mean, they must have changed these numbers 10 times since then. So I don't worry about my cholesterol. I would rather have it if I'm eating enough. My body isn't going to overcompensate. My liver isn't going to go nuts trying to make more. So you know, and when I get cut or something, oh my God, I heal like there's no tomorrow. It's awesome. Cholesterol is very good for you. We need it for every cell in our body. Yeah, there you go, Walter. There you go. Yep, absolutely. Body loves it. No, Cecilia, change the subject. That's perfectly fine. I started off on one subject originally and ended up talking about health, but what are you going to do? I want to talk about hunting. Bill Schmidt, it looks like you left. I'm sorry I missed you, but that was a great comment you made there. I'm really, really glad. Oh boy, I'm going to have to read that one again. I can't believe it. I mean, you can't walk 10 feet without tripping over a bear around here. Yeah, well, Cecilia, you know, we're on the same same playing field with that. We think alike when it comes to that. We both have a huge interest, and you know, since I got a formal education in it, just incredible to talk about that. Okay, that was at 9:47 from Cecilia. Thank you for the congrats. Oh, I think that was about my credits. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of nice to be considered an old person in this school because then you can make a big change in your life and in a much easier way. You still have to put the work in, but it's nice to know that I can write like a 10-page essay and get like 12 credits for it. It's pretty awesome. For decades correctly. Walter, you are absolutely correct. If you're still in here, I know it's after 10 and I'm way behind in the chat. The guy who invented DDT, his constituents thought he was crazy because they kind of fell for the hype that it was, you know, it was defoliating everything like Agent Orange and just killing everything. And it was kind of along the same lines as homeopathy. So what he did, what, you know, drop in the ocean. So what he did was he took a tablespoon full of it, heavily diluted every single day in the same lab where he worked with his constituents who did not believe that. They thought he made something to destroy the entire world. And he wanted to prove to them that it wasn't as bad as they thought. So that's why he did that. And he lived to be, he never had an illness. Can't remember the guy's name. But he didn't have a problem. He lived to a ripe old age, well up into his 90s, and you know, it's the same thing. I mean, if it's used correctly, it's not a problem. Oh, thank you, Wookie. I want to become a doctor. My dream was always to go to Cornell up there in Ithaca. My grade point average is high, but I don't know if you know, I'm tough enough to handle Cornell, but we'll see. Listen to your body. It will tell. Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it does that in the form of symptoms like pain. It's kicking your butt. Hey, listen to me. Okay, Wookie, whatever it was, I'm glad you got something from it. Thank you for saying that, and you're welcome. Bill says a good supplement to lose weight. Burn down from. Yeah, yeah. That I would run. I would walk very, very wide circles around that. Yeah, that's the fad right now. That's the trend. And basically, it's a drug abuse problem. And yeah, that will happen, but there's a much safer way to do that. You're going to destroy your thyroid. You're going to destroy your adrenals. You're probably going to cause urinary problems. It's going to screw up your gut. And yeah, I would run away from that right now. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but that's what I would do. Yeah, not a good idea to take something that will remove excess glucose from your blood that quickly. That's pretty damn scary. That's a good way to destroy your metabolism because if it's everything looks fine now, all right, but if you stop this or if you keep going, your body is eventually going to fight back, and it's not going to be pretty. I would it's in fact it's I'm going to say it's deadly to do that. I know a lot of people who are doing this. I know a lot of nurses while I was going to school last year who are doing it, and it's like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? You know, this is a synthetic lab-made drug, and its base is petroleum. It's a poison. Stay away from all of them if you can. Hey, Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance. Man, I am so far behind, and there's 6 people in here. I don't even know who's still in here. Oh, that's fine, Roland. If you're still in here, I'm glad you're here. I didn't expect to be here for 2 hours. Cecilia and I were having a talk for about an hour there, and I was ready to throw in the towel because they just haven't been my live streams have just been dead, but this one. Oh, good night, Cecilia. I missed you. Oh my God, that was like 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Rambling on, rambling on. Is that in tincture form? Walter, if you're still here, could you ask me again what that was? Was that the oregano? Because yes, it is. Oh, you're still here. I thought you said good night, New York, Cecilia. Well, you were here about 10 minutes ago. Wow, that's a while ago. I'm surprised anybody's still in here, man. The way I ramble and I go off all squirrely. Good Lord. I knew a guy that took a lot of colloidal silver. He turned, yeah, you can. It'll turn your skin blue. Yeah. Yeah. Colloidal silver, I would use as a therapy for an extremely brief period of time if nothing else was working. But I'm telling you, that oregano, it will knock the shit out of any bacterial infection. It will keep an abscess from happening. It can take a person out of anaphylactic shock. It's pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, I've seen things in the past similar to that, Cecilia, about how to make it. About 6 modems. Yeah. Too bad they can't get it right. You know, if we threw out these computers and cell phones tonight, I wouldn't miss them. Let's go back to pen and paper. Writing letters, I'm all for it. Yeah, there was a family down in Roland might know this. There was a family years ago down in the Appalachian Mountains that lived in an area where their well water had a pretty significant level of silver and their skin was blue. And they kind of were a phenomenon, but it was just because they drank water with a lot of silver in it. 7 modems, God, man. It's all these electronics, they're such junk. Terrible. Yeah. Oh my God. Boy, I'm so behind. Now I'm almost 15 minutes behind. So 500 needed. Okay, I've got 500. I haven't looked at my hours in a long time. You know, I always said I didn't want to be monetized because sometimes when I'm watching somebody's video, probably because I'm in a rush, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of times I speed up your videos. If they're more than like 6, 8 minutes, I'll speed them up just because, I got to get online with a webinar. I got to go out, travel to a field location or something, or I got homework to do. But we thought, I really hate commercials. But if it happens, the collateral damage from 2020 is still lingering, and it would be nice to have a little bit extra. Okay. Yeah, look at Wookie. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, right? I make a cream with coconut oil and comfrey. Oh, that's excellent. Comfrey soothes your muscles and your joints. I use comfrey. I have a knee that keeps giving me a hard time. It's because I put on what I call COVID weight. When this all happened back in 2020, by May, I was eating as much ice cream as I could and just overeating because it was my COVID weight because the .gov was trying to starve me out. So it hurt. I ended up, doing, hundreds and hundreds of miles in surveys, and I ended up hurting my right knee, which is still, strangely enough, compensating for the left one from a rollover like 35 years ago. What a raccoon will do in a hen house. Bearable. Yeah, you got that right, Walter. Yep. And I just, I live in a metropolitan influenced area. It's beautiful. Lots of mountains, trees, streams, everything. And these people who come in, I mean, they're it's like they're in a zoo, and it's like, no, man, you were out in the open, and that bear is gonna go right for you. If you piss him off, or if he smells your lunch in there, and he's gonna do what he wants to do, and they are so damn fast. Scary morning for you? Oh, Bill, it's June. What were you out there? I'm sorry, I missed something and I'm way behind. I'm 15 minutes behind on this, but if you're still in here, were you out fishing and did you have a side on a single Steven's single shot? See, I know about my guns, but I don't really know guns. Bill lives in my area, Walter, if you're still here. He hunts in a lot of the same places I do. Um, Stevens 12 gauge, taking 3 shells. So when was this? Was this back in February? When was this, Bill? Yeah, be good when I do. I have no tolerance for it. I don't. Yeah, I hate those damn things. I am so too feral myself to suffer predators. Yeah, I feel the same way. But in southern New York, oh my God, they'd have me plastered all over the news. This evil person killed the bear. It's like, yeah, well, it was either me or him, and that's what makes us human. And we have every right to, and we don't have to feel bad about it because that's been the agenda for years to make us feel bad about normal human emotions. And I'm getting sick and tired of that. Yeah, that's excellent, Davis. Walter Davis. That's an excellent way of explaining it. So yeah, don't run. Shoot them if you can. Beat them off with a stick. Use the air horn, like my CB friend had said, or the bear spray, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I totally agree with you, Walter. Wiki says I love ham, so I think what's wrong. Well, cholesterol comes from butter, eggs, cheese. I do not worry about cholesterol. I mean, I've done enough research where, I mean, I've just debunked the whole thing and I've lived it. So if I drop dead of a heart attack, then I drop dead of a heart attack. But I don't think it's going to happen because I get enough fat soluble vitamins. And like I explained about the vitamin E, that's true. So we'll see what happens. We don't know. It's the role of the luck of the dice, and you're just happy you're here every day. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. I'm not gonna stress over it. I used to, but that was when I wasn't feeling good. But now that I'm getting all the nutrients I need, my brain functions properly with enough cholesterol, and it's easy to have critical thinking, and it deepens your perspective, which is something I've always had a lot of pride in. I was always good with that. Who's left? 6 people are in here. I am so far behind. Yeah, in Communist Party of America. Yeah, no, you're right about that, Walter. When I say it was always my dream to go to Cornell, it's because I grew up around a bunch of Republicans in my life. It was a big network of people, veterinarians, doctors, school teachers who went to Cornell back in the 60s. Maybe it was still going on then because the Communist Party was forming back in the 20s, uh, actually before World War I. But these people were, whether they had anything to do with it or not, I don't think so. They were heart staunch Republicans, and they were just the damnedest smartest people I ever met. They were just right on the money all the time. They were just great. Yeah, you don't want to be up in Ithaca right now. If you do, don't go into the college areas because these people are out of their minds. It's really a damn shame. Yeah, I'm way pathetic. Hey, there's Mark. I missed him coming in. God knows when that happened. Sorry about that, Mark. Good to see you, though, if you're still here. Boy, it's been 2 hours and 19 minutes. I didn't expect that. Maybe I won't delete this one after all. Melissa, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you need to turn your sound on. Not exactly a very detailed statement there. Walter says, my sister as well. In-law. Yeah, just if she doesn't tell you the same thing I do, then she's out of the loop and she needs to do some research. But chances are she's going to be basically telling you the same things, or she may tell you she didn't hear about it. In that case, just look it up. That's all you got to do. There's a world of wonder out there, and they're trying to keep it from us. There's no reason. If you know somebody who can network for you and bring it to light, then just go for it and learn. If you don't want to, then you don't want to. But yeah, I know, Cecilia, and I'm still behind. I'm still trying to catch up. I wouldn't even do that, Bill. I mean, it's up to you. I cannot tell. I can't get between you and your doctor. I can't tell you what to do. But if it were me, I would throw that shit in the garbage right now. There's a better way to do this. I know everybody wants to lose weight, but you put your body under so much stress. I mean, God damn, you give yourself a stroke doing something like that. All right, this is for entertainment purposes only because it's public and it's on YouTube. I have to say that. Yeah, Cecilia, if you're still here, that's the fat wax, the lard and the beeswax or the beef tallow, which I'm going to be taking a break from this year because I don't want to smell like a great big French fry out there. Um, you put enough shea butter on, that should do it. And plus, I use the citronella and the lemongrass and the eucalyptus as a bug spray, and it works. Oh, okay, Bill. Thanks for telling me. April. You were hunting black bear in April. Oh, that was that early? Where were you? In Stewart? Not Stewart. Stewart. No, unless you were with a youth for early. Yeah, that's a lot. Well, you don't have to tell me where it was. I'll just guess. I know it's around the area. Okay, I'm catching up. Oh my God, I'm actually catching up. Good night, Mark. Thank you for coming in. Sorry, I'm kind of, neither here nor there. I got lost in looking something up and ran off. What's the saying? She got on her horse and rode off in every direction. In South Central New Hampshire. I thought you were up by the Canadian border, Wookie, but New Hampshire is a beautiful state. And you have coastline. You actually have some coastline. What do you have, like 18 miles of coastline? Yes. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says about our ancestors. We have been conditioned and brainwashed to believe that our ancestors were so damn stupid they were too stupid to live. Well, they must have been doing something right because they survived for eons. We wouldn't be here if they were that dumb. I hate hearing that. Oh, well, they didn't know any better then. And what did they do to George Washington? The doctors were so stupid back then. They bled him out. Well, maybe those doctors did, but not all of them did that. Oh, Mark, you're still. I don't know what the hell's going on. I get lost in a research project, and the whole world gets shut out on me. Okay, there you go. Okay, now I got it. Okay, I'm caught up. Woo! Maybe I should go out there and play tag with a bear. That'll wake me up. Bill, I'm sorry. If you're here, Bill, I am sorry to hear that happened. All right, call me whatever you want, but I think something's up. All right, maybe the bear had a banner year. Um, I don't know if bear can have triplets, black bear can have triplets, but maybe there were a lot of sows and they all got pregnant. Something's weird. Something's not right. In fact, even when I was talking to my lawyer today, she hikes around this area, and I warned her. I said, just go to Kenco Outfitters or the Thruway Market. Kenco is up in Kingston. I was there on Monday because I had to go up to the DC and take care of my car. Not at the DC, but up in Kingston at my dealership. Some kind of upgrade, and it's free. And then I went to Kenco. Kenco is one of my favorite places to go, and I got some bear spray there. or go out to the Thruway Market. I think Walmart might have it. Probably not, but just get it. Just get it. In fact, if you can, pick up a couple cans. Pick up a 6-pack, because something's wrong out there. Something's really wrong. This isn't. What's the name of the town up in Alaska? I hate forgetting stuff. I'm working on that. I need more cholesterol. Juneau, Alaska. High school classmate of mine moved up there probably 30 years ago, and he said the black bear are everywhere. And everybody gets used to it, and nobody does anything about it. And the black bear don't bother anybody. Well, I don't know. I mean, when a teenage bear is within 6 feet of me while I'm in my house, but he's within 6 feet of me, walking right past me, and I'm yelling and screaming at him, and he's just like, yeah, that's not a good sign. That's when trouble starts. That was a field trip. Oh, okay. Okay. You post some of the most beautiful pictures. I need a vacation. I need to go someplace like that. I really want to go to the beach, but you know what the problem at the beach is now? In fact, the farther north you go, the worse it's going to get, because the water's a little cooler. I think southern Jersey Shore is okay. Clinging, stinging jellyfish. Look it up. Clinging jellyfish on the Jersey Shore. Yeah. These bad boys, little tiny thing about the size of your pinky nail, could latch onto you, and he's going to put you in the hospital. Not fun. Ah, there have been same thing with the bear. Yes, all right. I know there are storms out at sea, and man of war can get washed up from southern waters, warmer southern waters. But I noticed since 2020. Except for 2021, that was the last time I went swimming in the ocean. No, I am not afraid of the ocean. There's been so many jellyfish. I mean, jellyfish that will put you in the hospital. Bill, you from New Jersey? New Jersey's late April, Greenwood State Park. First time I felt I was being. Oh, Bill, man. Yeah, I know the feeling. I know exactly how you feel. It is. I mean, I had a rollover years ago, and that's kind of considered a death-defying kind of thing. But that's with a mechanical object. It's not a living, breathing creature that can eat you. That it was just bad timing, and we had a drought that summer, and then I came around a curve a little too fast, and the Ford Escort just rock and rolled and discoed all over the place. But when you've got something that big coming at you like that, the grayish black bear that's down in, I'll tell you where it is. It's down in Coyote Park in Montebello, New York, in Rockland County. When I saw him swinging his legs coming up over that hill, thank God he was still far enough away. I was like, holy, this is real. I mean, and I'm in a state park. I'm not armed. It's the most. It is the most deep down. I wouldn't say so much fear, because a lot of times fear will give you goosebumps. The hair will go up on the back of your neck. Your adrenaline will rise. This is a little bit different, because then you'll go into fight or flight like we did as cavemen to survive. It's more of the, okay, going back to the cave, it's more of like a primal thing. When you see something big enough to bite your skull and pop it like a fucking pimple and eat your brains, it's pretty amazing. And it makes me wish and kick myself like crazy that I had gotten a sidearm permit years ago, full carry, and I never did. And I just put it off because I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. I'm out there with shotguns. Should have gotten it. I took I went through the Orange County Sheriff here in New York, and I took the firearms safety course with them, and basically all they showed you was, how to handle it, how to load it, how to put it back together, how to clean it, had to hold it to shoot, but we never actually shot, and I never finished because in order to get the application, I was afraid I was going to forget something, an incident. Not that there were many. There was one with Pennsylvania. My mom died, and she had property in Pennsylvania. You have a year, according to the law, to finish an estate for a deceased whoever. And all of a sudden, Pennsylvania got the records wrong, and within like 6 months, they like cut it short by 6 months for whatever reason, and they like believed this, that it was a full year, and it hadn't been. It had only been 6 months. And my lawyer calls me up. He's up in Monticello. He's barred in 2 states, PA and New York. And he says, Irene, have you been down to Pennsylvania lately? And I said, no, it's been about a week. Why? What's up? I thought something happened to the house. He got a call, maybe that somebody broke into my mom's house. No, that wasn't it. He said to show that there's a warrant out for your arrest in Pennsylvania. And he explained to me why. He said PA is jumping the gun on the estate law, and it's supposed to be a year. You have a full year, but for some reason they thought it was 6 months, and they said, well, it's up. Your time is up. So they erroneously issued a warrant for my arrest. And he said, give me about 48 hours. He said, I'll call you back. I'll clear it up. And I'll let you know if it's safe to go to Pennsylvania, because he said if you go down now, if you get you get pulled over for parking or traffic infraction, they're going to haul you in. So something like that, I'm not worried about telling them about, but I'm worried. I mean, I'm not a criminal, and I've always been very straight-laced, but I'm worried that I'm going to forget something, and it's going to be something stupid. Like when I rescued the abused cats from the notorious animal hoarder in Ulster County years ago. And the woman was a horrible person who tortured these animals. And I went up and I trespassed. I guess you could call it breaking and entering. And I took these animals, and they lived with me for a long time. I made a video about them, by the way. And the Cornell vet who took care of them. And so the woman wanted to press charges, but I had to call a sheriff friend in Orange County, actually down in Sloatsburg, Bill. And I said, look, this is the deal. And he said, give me 24 hours. And then he called me back, and he said everything is fine. I'm worried that there's like a legal hair in there that I'm going to forget. And they're going to say, nope, denied. I'm just so worried about that. Yeah, there's so many of them, Whoopi. Like I said in one of my videos, I mean, God, like 30 years ago, they used to be migratory through here. They didn't hang out. But something that I also noticed with these city people on the trail, they're always dropping little pieces of food. That's weird. That's really weird. And I'm sorry, it has not escaped my notice that there's a ill intention behind that. And as far as I'm concerned, they're baiting, because it doesn't look like, oh, well, I ate a little piece of strawberry and then I dropped it. No, there's something else going on there. Because last year, when I went down to Coyote in Montebello, when you're out on a trail, I was out there for like 6 hours, walking around, doing my thing. And when you're out on a trail with a clipboard, people either run from you or they're curious and they want to know what you're doing. So, because they think you're like a government official. I'm not. I'm a contractor. So this guy asked me questions, and I tell him what I'm doing, and he's pretty friendly. And then all of a sudden he says, oh, let me show you all the pictures of the bear in my phone. I said, yeah, how many you got there? He goes, he said, I've got hundreds of them. I said, yeah, where'd you get these pictures? Oh, right down at the picnic area. Oh, is that a fact? Okay, now I know for certain in this park, because it's a county park, the guys who work there and take care of it, they bleach and what's it called? Power wash with bleach the barbecue grills throughout the season. Maybe not every single time after each weekend when they're used, but they keep everything clean because there's been bear in that area for a while. So the only thing I could think was, who's baiting the bear? Just to get a photo op. A lot of people will do that. Oh, you're kidding me, Walter. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. And boy, you can't ask for a better time outside. I can remember being able to do that. I can remember being able to fall asleep on a rock. Um, and nothing ever bothered you, not even a tick. That was a long, long time ago. But like I said in one of my videos, when I was growing up in the 60s on the mountainside in Fort Montgomery, you didn't see a deer unless somebody went to another state to get it, and it was usually Pennsylvania. You saw a lot of snakes, but you never saw the deer. Walter, you have a boat in Tom's River? Boy, it's a shame what's happened to that town. The Hasidim have taken over. About 15 minutes from Island Beach State Park in Seaside, New Jersey. Oh, my heart. I love that area. So can I meet you down there on Sunday? I'm not kidding, man. I would love to go fishing. I just want to get my feet in the sand, you know. If the clean jellyfish are out there, I'm not too interested, but it's really a shame because I've had a ball bobbing in the ocean. Swimming with the skates are fun, but that one year when the rays came in and the lifeguards lied about them, I went up to the bench and I said, "Hey, you know that's not a skate." He said they're skates. No, they're not. They're stingrays. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Carmel, yeah. Um, I go skiing over that way. Fawnstock Park has a great cross country ski winter park over there, which is fantastic. Well, it's not Carmel proper. I think it's more like the town of Kent. That's a really, really cool part of the state over there. It used to be Connecticut one time, 18th century. Savannah was a great place to live by Harrisburg. Really? That's a shame. I went to, now this is before it became convoluted and crazy liberal. I went to Milton Hershey School back in the early 80s. That was an awesome school. And I mean, we really worked our butts off. We were heavy duty athletes. That was when the Barnes were there. And then the liberals came in and said, oh, well, this is child labor. Didn't hurt me none. Didn't hurt me one bit to go out there on a winter day when the wind chill had the temperature down to 70 below. And we had to make it from the unit to the barn at 4:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. I think it was 4:30 in the morning, and milk about 50 head. Didn't bother me one bit. But it was fun to go to Harrisburg. I can't remember the name. Boscov's? Was it Boscov's that was there? It was the big department store. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that. I would imagine Harrisburg is probably full of meth labs, which is really too bad. Pennsylvania still has beautiful, beautiful countryside. It looks like Copperhead country to me. Maybe because of all the mountain plateaus from coming from New York, you dip down into the Delaware and then you go up 6, and it feels like you're up on a plane. And there's so many blueberry bushes, and it reminds me a little bit of the Pine Barrens, but it's not, of course. But the trees are stunted because the westerly wind is constantly hitting them, and there's so many blueberry bushes and mountain laurel. It just makes me think of copperheads. Oh, a bear woke you up? That's Oh, where did I see it? Why did I think that was a? Well, that sucks then. That's not good. So what else happened if the bear woke you up? Shoot, I missed that. Sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm starting to get tired. In fact, like an hour before I started this live stream, I thought, I feel like taking a nap. Maybe I should cancel it, but I'm glad I didn't. It's great having everybody around. We've got 5 in still. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't even like the smell of bear. And as far as I'm concerned, the only good bear is a dead bear. I used to only feel that way about groundhogs, but now I feel that way about bear. And I would love love a bearskin rug, black bear, because they do have a beautiful coat of fur. Sorry about that mistake, Walter. City people are fucking idiots. Yeah, they're idiots for the most part. They really are. I'm not meeting any smart ones out on the trail. I mean, they basically they're told what to do. They're brainwashed. They're like hamsters on a wheel. Like what it was taken over by the sea of Tom's River. Oh, really? I wonder why it's telling me Tom's River went downhill. What the heck was that? I can't remember, but okay, I'm glad to hear that. But still, I mean, that's still a shame because Lakewood, I think Lakewood was a nice town. Milton Hershey is still an awesome school, not like it used to be, Walter. It's a liberal run, and what they did, I mean, God, they took down my barn. They made a mutated mess of Catherine Hall. The rotunda still looks pretty good, but I think it was closed the last time I was there. The fountain wasn't working. We used to have so much fun putting the soap in there for Sunday morning masses. That's fun. They overbuilt the place, but when I was there, man, we were tough, strong kids, and we were poor. I gotta say though, 77 they let the girls in at one co-ed. When I got there in 1980, I was like one of the very first different Milton Hershey school kids. I was half an orphan, but my mom owned a house, and that made me very rare in that school because most of these kids were heroin mules in Philadelphia. But yeah, I still have lasting friendships from there, and man, we worked our butts off in that school. We were good, and our grades were good, and and we had some of the most amazing teachers. I was in an advanced comp class with Mr. Kriebel. He died years ago. No, it was Mr. Altman, and I was in the top 5 writers, and so I won a spot on the bus to go meet Stephen King before he was even Stephen King. And I remember thinking he was a very, very ugly man. But I can't remember. It was a symposium somewhere, and there were several other writers, and he was one of them. He was completely unknown at the time. And that was just before The Shining came out, the movie and the book. And when we went to see him, he said that his inspiration for horror was Billy Goat's Gruff. And that was it. But yeah, I remember he was very, very tall. I remember looking up at him and asked me if I wanted his autograph, and I said no, thank you, because I didn't even know who he was at the time. And then Shiny came out, and I was like, oh yeah, I met that guy. He's really ugly. Oh no, kidding, Wookie. See, I got off on a tangent again, and I fell behind. Yeah, boy, back in the 80s, if you wanted your kid to have standards, quality standards, an amazing, stellar work ethic, that's where you went. But then the liberals took over, and oh no, we can't have child labor. I am still pissed that they took down my barn because we had one of the biggest dairy storage barns on the place. And the class of 81, see, I know a lot about this, all right? Don't make it out to be all cookies and cream because it's not. The class of 81 was Milton Hershey's Frankenstein monster, and it turned against the Milton Hershey Trust. They plundered the Shire. They broke Milton Hershey's trust that was set in 1947. Oh, no, just before that, because I think he died in 1947. He and Catherine never expected something like this. The class of 81 destroyed Milton Hershey, turned it liberal, got rid of the labor part of it, got rid of the cows, shipped out the production of Hershey products to China, and what else the hell did they do? Oh, and then they sold off most of the 40,000 acres that Milton Hershey had set aside to Nike. So there you go. Can't pull the wool over my eyes. Yeah, the school is highly corrupt. It's disgustingly corrupt, and it's run by Satanists, as far as I'm concerned. That's too bad. As I look for in the listings for a rental, because I'm not really interested in buying at these interest rates. Actually, I might be better in the end. The best place I found was in Walton, New York. I used to live pretty close to there. We used to go to the Delaware County Fair there at the fairgrounds. It was beautiful. And I found a house that was $700 a month, rent to own, owner finance. And what I've been learning about Walton, New York is that it's turning into like a Harrisburg, or particularly Buffalo. It's being torn apart from the inside out. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they lost their siding a long time ago, and most of their industry is pretty much gone. I think a school was torn down, so we're seeing the same thing here. I mean, it looks. I haven't been up there, but I remember Route 8 going north, out of Stylesville, New York, in the Deposit area. It was the most beautiful road, full of beautiful working farms, and I had left the area, and like within 10 years, all those farms were full of bats and owls. Yeah. Okay, Cecilia's trying to tell me something. Yes, you too, Cecilia. Take good care of yourself. I hope the little extra you're getting will help you. And try to replace some of those carbs with protein if you can, and ground meat, as cheaply as you can get it, and you will see a difference. I almost guarantee it. I woke up with the sound of something big walking through the grass, pitch dark, no moon. Yikes, Walter. Good night, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. Take care, Cecilia. Thank you so much for coming in and keeping me company in my darkest hour when I thought I was going to have to delete everything. Walter says he smelled it the next day, saw the tracks in the mud. Oh, shoot. I'm glad he left you alone. Son of a gun. Bill says, that was great. Learned a lot. Turned in at 10 p.m. by chance. Oh, thank you, Bill, for coming in. And thank you for saying that about the bears, because, there's going to be a lot of people who tell me I'm imagining things, and I know I'm not. So it's nice to know that I have a comrade in arms, so to speak. It's bad, bad, bad around here. Bad. There weren't so many feeble-minded idiots out there. We could walk around with 12 weight gauges on our shoulders and we'd be just fine. But there's so many freaks out there. They'd be shooting up everything. They'd be shooting your car, your lawnmower, the side of your house. Oh my God. I remember going to school, and outside the school door were the 12 gauges, and it was mostly 12 gauges. You didn't really see too many 22s because they could shoot so far. But yeah, 12 gauges, because the guys would hunt on the way home. I remember seeing it all the time. Never affected me any. Didn't hurt my feelings. I didn't lose any sleep over it, and I didn't cry either. It was just the way it was. It was nice to see too, and I missed that. And I really, really miss seeing guns on racks in the rear windows of trucks. I really, really miss that. I also miss seeing a deer strapped across the hood of a truck. Now you gotta hide the damn thing because somebody might cry. Walter grew up on a farm. A work ethic was required to survive childhood. Yes, same here. Upstate New York taxes keep New York City viable. Yeah. Yeah, they've been saying that for a long time, Walter. New York City should just become its own freaking planet, basically. New York should become its own planet, really. It's been terrible for years and years. I don't know what to do about New York City. I don't know if there's anything you can do. I got to admit, though, there was nothing before 2020. I've been down a couple times since, but there's nothing like a drive down across the GW and then on into Riverside and just lull down through the city and maybe stop at, Central Park around Columbia and and go for a walk, or maybe, pay to have somebody park your car, go down to the Battery, and on a hot summer day, get a beer and some fries and just ride the Staten Island Ferry. When we were kids, we got all our clothes from the garment district. I don't know who my dad knew. He knew a lot of people. And we would go down with family, and we go to the automats. The family would disperse throughout the city and visit people, and then at the end of the day, we would go back to the whichever garment district factory my dad had picked out at that time, because we would get measured and everything, and then my mom would pick out the materials, and they would make the clothes right there, and we'd pick them up in brown wrap with string, and bring them home. Yeah, exactly, Wookie. I'm sick and tired of it, but they cry so loud. They have to have so much attention. These are mentally ill people. I mean, I'm just sick and tired of it. You know the old saying, it looks like the inmates are running the asylum. That is truer than ever, and I've heard that for a long time, even about 30 years ago, and I often thought, yeah, wouldn't that suck if that happened? And thank God it hasn't, but it has, unfortunately. All right, folks. Man, I had a great time talking with everybody. There's 3 left. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. I'm not going to delete this one. This was a pretty cool one. I might listen to it again. Actually, some of the things I said might actually get me deleted off Facebook. But whatever. Not Facebook, YouTube. See, it's getting late. I need more caffeine. That was good. That was easy to make. That's just a little bit of coffee, a little bit of organic cocoa powder, raw milk, little tiny bit of sugar, and a bunch of ice. And I got a latte for like nothing. You go to Starbucks, what does that cost you? About $10,000. You got to sign your life away for it. Something about that is very familiar. I remember there's a Greek revival farmhouse. Do they do reenactments there, Walter? Yeah, it was great, Wookie. I'm so glad. I didn't like zonk out and fall asleep on everybody. Actually, I almost fell asleep before I even started this. But I didn't. And thank you, everybody, for coming in. I know we're down to 3, and we're up to almost 3 hours. This is great. You've renewed my faith in YouTube live streams. I'm not sure if Walter is still here. I was asking you, Walter, if that house, that Greek revival up there, would that be 18th century? I'm always doing this to myself. Too many things on my mind for too long. I got into a bad rut with it. I need to clear things out and just pay attention to the damn math courses I'm going to have to take. God, I hate it. If anybody out there is good in math, I need a tutor. I really need a tutor. I suck at it. Or I might surprise myself. Who knows? No, it looks like 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm thinking of something else, as usual. It was built in 1840. Okay, so it's 19th century. Oh, Cecilia's here. Okay, was going to close out, but see, you're still. Yeah, I know, right? What's up with that? I mean, we started out with such slim chances. Just you and me. Thank you, Cecilia. I really appreciate it. Walter, that's really interesting. That thing about the bear, oh my God. Dang. I just saw on, I think it was YouTube Shorts, or it might have been on Instagram Reels or something. Somebody was like, "Oh, woke up to a bear sniffing my feet in my tent." And of course, they put it up as a reel, and the bear's out there sniffing around, and it portrays the bear as like the neighborhood cat, and it's not. It's not. It could have easily have bitten that foot with the tent in its mouth and just dragged it right down to the river. These things are so strong. Oh, shoot. Okay, Wookie. I was kind of hoping you could be my tutor. I'll figure it out. Actually, my advisor is one of my math class teachers, so she'll hook me up. I see there are new features on StreamYard. It helps you like share a screen a lot quicker, a lot easier. I was playing with it before Cecilia showed up. Oh, I got it. Okay. Gotcha, Walter. Yeah, it's something. Where is it? I think it disappeared. Or is it this? Or is it that? Yeah, it's this. And then you add an item. I don't know if you can see anything. Dynamic camera grid. It's recommended. Got it. Dynamic camera grid. Okay, I'm just effing around. You guys don't have to hang around for this. I just want to play with it. Just the number of people on stage. Okay, we don't have anybody on. You know, I forgot to put the link up. Okay, and then you can do a back button. I press the add button again. Camera slot. Okay, what's this? Duplicate. Oh, we don't need that. And you can get rid of the sucker too. So I can back, back, back. Okay, that's gone. Add item. Media slot. Now, this I don't know how to use. Does anybody know how to use the media slot? I'm like clicking on the center of it, and it's not. I don't know if anybody can see that on there, but it's like, how do I use this? I hate it. Like, hey, come on. All right, I'm just going to get rid of it because I don't know how the hell to use this. I'll have to watch a video on it. I painted the house. Yeah, I don't blame them. When I was living in Stylesville, let's see, I moved. We bought the house in 1989 in Stylesville, New York, in Delaware County. Um, had not seen a coyote my entire life. Never saw one. We used to have wild dogs down in Fort Montgomery because being so close to the park, back then the culture was that you stayed for 2 months. You didn't just stay for a week or you sent your kid to a sleepaway or a day camp. The whole family came up, but the whole kit and caboodle from the city and stayed for 2 weeks, 2 months. Unfortunately, one of the bad habits that they had was to get a summer pet, and it was usually a dog. So what happened with the summer pet was once they left and went back to the city, they couldn't bring it back to their apartment, so they dumped it in the woods. So we used to get big packs of wild dogs. My grandmother, my dad used to get on her case all the time because our neighbors were Harriman State Park and West Point, so we were very wooded, even though there wasn't much going on up there. But the wild dog packs were a problem. She was feeding the wild cats, the feral cats or whatever. And my dad used to get on her case, say, "Mom, stop doing that. I don't want to have to get a phone call from you." Well, the phone call finally came in, and she said, "Tom, they got the wild dogs are at my front door and my back door. I'm scared to death." So my dad was a sure shot. He was a waist gunner in World War II, and so he got his handgun and he went down there in the dark and shot these dogs. So that was the only experience with dogs packing that I ever had. And then that went away, and you never saw anything. You might see a bobcat. I've been had the shit beaten out of me by hen ruffed grouse with babies. They can be really rough, man. They will come at you like a rocket. And then in 1989, 1990, 1991, in Salisbury, New York, uh, the guy I was with and I came home from work at about the same time on a Friday night. It was just starting to get dark, and I was out in the front yard with some plants I was transplanting, and I hear a racket coming down off the mountain up Route 8 like you wouldn't believe. And I said, "Holy shit, it's a pack of coyotes." I said, "Come out here. You got to hear this." And we listened, and it was so loud that you couldn't hear the TV, and they weren't even that close. then